In 2019, a washed-up duo of bench racers were sent to RC prison for the crime of on-track race incidents. These men fled Facebook to the platform of Podbean to safely spew their garbage without any listeners. Wanted by stock racers, they survive with weekly episodes. If you have a problem and don't want a solution and are okay with not using iTunes, then you can listen to the Trackwalk RC Podcast.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the Trackwalk RC Podcast. Thank you for joining us for episode number 35.
35.
Absolutely amazing that we're on 35 already. Huge thank you guys for listening week in and week out and showing your support, whether you are a familiar listener or a new listener. I appreciate all of you guys just the same, so thank you for joining us. Tonight, we have Kevin Focht on from PDX RC Underground. He had a pretty cool story to tell and has been kind of a big icon in the rebirth of the Portland RC scene. And so we had an absolute awesome conversation with him that, we'll get to in a minute here. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on a couple things. Obviously, huge thank you to everyone who tunes in to listen week in and week out and is patient with my release schedule. It's been more consistent lately, but I'm hoping to keep it that way. No promises, though. Also, those of you who go the extra mile to support us on Patreon, I really appreciate everything that you guys do for us. It doesn't really matter to me how many of you do it. It's just the fact that any of you do it at all, and it means the absolute world to Colin and I that people like this enough that they actually want to spend their hard-earned money every month to support us. And if you are interested in doing the same and want to look at some exclusive content and discounts on merch, things like that, you can head over to patreon.com. Just look up Trackwalk RC Podcast, and you can join for a minimum of like $2 a month. Also, we offer Trackwalk merch on our Teespring store, so just go to the description for the episode on whatever listening platform you are on, and you can find a link there. And we still have some in stock actually from our last bulk order. So I pretty much anything under a 2X. If you guys want a Trackwalk shirt, hit me up, and I'd be gladly to source one for you because I still actually have quite a few here in my little office.
Or so if you need a 2X or larger, you can order from the merch store.
Yep. I know there's a couple people that have been waiting for me to place another bulk order for those. I don't think that's going to happen, and there's a couple people that I need to reach out to about that, just because these shirts haven't really moved. So I probably won't be doing another one for a little while. So those of you who I said I'd have one by the next Die Hard race or whatever, that's probably not going to happen. So if I don't reach out to you, and we talked about this, reach out to me, and I'll get something figured out for you.
That makes these shirts limited edition.
Yeah, that's right. These are eventually going to be vintage collector's edition. They'll be worth a lot of money, right? Stuff in RC is worth a lot of money, right? When it gets old. Isn't that how that works?
I'm hoping. I've got a couple RC10s here that hopefully are going to make me rich.
I have an old Kyosho MP 7.5 that I got through a series of swaps through just people that we used to race with back then, Reagan LeBlanc being one of them. And it belonged to some Kyosho pro driver in the early 2000s, and I can't remember. I never found out whose it exactly was. They said it was Richard Saxton's, but I don't know if he was ever on Kyosho. Was he? 'Cause
That's
I don't remember.
That's a good question. I'd have to go back and listen to the No Name podcast where
Degani's episode.
Degani was talking about.
Oh, that filled so much of a history void for me. Like now I know everything about 8-scale racing from 2000 on.
That was such a great episode.
It really was. Yeah, I know we keep plugging that one, but it was amazing. Keenan really stepped it up with that one, and Greg just went 3 hours, and you learned so much, and that was a really cool one. I highly urge you guys to listen to that if you haven't listened already. It's a couple weeks old now, but it was well worth the time spent.
Yeah.
I need to go back and listen to it a second time just to see if there's anything I missed. So that's been pretty cool. So now that I've got kind of the plugs out of the way, another thing here too is, oh my god, I'm blanking super hard. So obviously we have this coronavirus ickiness going around, we kind of touched on the last show where, people think it's a matter of debate, and that's fine. And we had a Die Hard race this last weekend that, was an optional points race. You didn't have to show up and face any penalty for it if you didn't, if you had safety concerns, and that's awesome. And I'm kind of wondering what's going to happen with maybe some of these events if this is going to continue to get worse, which it might. So I guess maybe watch for some word from your local tracks or maybe something from Die Hard. I have no insight to what they're thinking, so I don't know. I have no idea what their continual plan is. So I know some people have reached out to me about it. So I guess if you have concerns or want to know what the eventual plan might be, just wait to hear something from them, or I guess reach out if they don't say anything. But I don't know from this point because we only have one race left, and I don't think that they're going to reschedule another one, especially with the way things are trending. So we'll just have to see. But currently, I don't know anything. As soon as something becomes shareable that I can bring to you guys, then I absolutely will. But right now, I just don't have a lot of info on that right now.
Hey, it's a good time to pick up some extra points if you need them.
This is true. Yeah, I mean, yeah. If you need to make that last ditch run, I don't know what the trophies are this year, so I don't know what the motivation might be for trying to sneak in some points. I have no idea. I'm out of the loop, but I'm curious to see what cool items they end up being this year because they're always something so cool.
Yeah, well, with the a bunch of people missing out on, not wanting to go or not able to go or whatever. There might be some points for the picking.
There could be, yeah. So I guess kind of you need to work out what your priorities are at that point. I mean, I'm sitting behind a desk, not moving very much. I don't think Colin's even going.
No, I won't be at the next one.
Obviously, the Uber responsible thing to do would be not go, but at the same time, I understand that they've got things on the line, with a business standpoint, and I want to be able to show up and do my part for them too, just like the rest of the crew does. And so, but the nice part is we're at the tail end, and then we can relax a little bit, and then we can get out to summer. So that'll be nice. Yeah, outdoor at Die Hard. I cannot wait. Oh, I can't wait.
No, my excuse is I've got somebody here at home with a compromised immune system, so I am avoiding crowds and that sort of thing. Not because I don't want to be there.
Yep, work and go home.
Yep, that's it.
Yep, yeah, I'm trying to do kind of the same besides Die Hard right now. I'm trying to not go out very much. Hermit time. I've been preparing for this my whole life. So, anyways, yeah. So we had a great talk with Kevin tonight. It really was. It was pretty cool to get his perspective on what was happening down there and what it's taken to build what PDX RC is now. There's a lot to be learned from it too, and a lot of good lessons. And I think that to date, it might be one of my favorite interviews we've ever done. Truthfully, it was just, and Kevin's a great speaker, and he spoke so candidly about some issues that were going on, and giving really accurate takes on how things are going down there. And I think that the big takeaway from all this is that I think we all need to, and I said it later in the show, I said, we all need to spend more time getting to learn, or getting to know each other as people, not as online personalities. I feel like that's a really big deal right now. And, even if you've listened to some recent episodes of the podcast, you know what I'm talking about, or just go on Facebook at all right now. So I hope that some people can, myself included, can take a step back and realize like what's good about what we do and really hone in on those things. And I hope that you guys enjoyed the interview as much as we did, because I had a lot of fun. It was a great time. So, but yeah, that's pretty much it. Colin, did you have anything else you wanted to get into before we talk to Kevin?
Oh no, I can't wait to talk to Kevin.
Sick. All right. Well, we're going to take a quick break, and I apologize, I guess, now. No one reached out to me, but I know there were some that had Mr. Crowley stuck in their head all week long from last week's episode, because it's been stuck in my head for about a month, so that's why I finally put it in, so I had to spread the pain.
Well, you might want to explain where that came from. How it got stuck in your head.
Oh, yeah, so... Oh, my God. So, yeah, we have a cross listenership with, not a huge base, but obviously with that Scale RC show, and those people who also listen to us and listen to the TSR Speed Shop podcast. And there's an individual on the, that I'm MKS teammates with on the rock racing / drag side of things, Ryan Crowley from Arizona. And every time he asks a question on Tim Smith's show, Tim has that secondary mic with that, with that effect. I don't know what it is that he does. But every single time, and sometimes for minutes on end, it's just always, him imitating the whole Mr. Crowley bit from that Ozzy Osbourne song. And I can't even come close to replicating it, so I'm not going to. But if you listen to the TSR Speed Shop podcast, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And I've been listening to that show a lot lately, and so, of course, that was stuck in my head, and, then it comes up on my music rotation, too, every time I'm starting to think, not think about it anymore. So finally I was like, you know what? It's going to the podcast this week. I don't care. I can't be the only one who suffers from this. So there you go. Maybe I'll get away from old school metal altogether, and I'll play like the YMC song in minor key. And we'll just see how far I can push this until someone really starts to complain. Seems like a logical choice, right? Colin's just like, oh dear. Here's the end. We reached it.
I never know what we're gonna have for music.
Yeah, I don't even show him the show notes half the time, so he knows nothing until he goes to listen. He's just like, God damn it.
I'm in the dark.
Yeah. I try and post them on the Patreon, but that's about it. I'm not always that prepared, man.
Yeah, I don't even know what the song's going to be until I actually go back and listen to it after it's been posted.
I don't know what it's going to be till I edit it, so right now the mystery is one and the same for us. I'm just as excited to find out as you are.
Oh, well, I'll have to come up with a suggestion.
Maybe this week. Maybe this week you can choose, because we only have one this week, and I've chosen the last couple weeks on the one break. So I'll leave it to you this time.
I've got one right now, right in my head, and I'll let you know after we're done recording.
Sweet. All right. Well, we're going to talk to Kevin now. So sit back, relax, and enjoy. We'll see you guys soon. right, so our special guest for this week of the Trackwalk RC podcast is an individual that's been I would say a figurehead in the Portland RC scene for a number of years, as long as I've been in RC, which is about the last 10 years or so. I've seen his name time and time again, usually throughout social media, and then not too long ago I finally got to meet him at a Die Hard race. But we got Kevin Focht here from PDX RC Underground. Kevin, how you doing tonight?
Good. How you doing, man?
Doing fantastic.
Cool. And it's Focht, by the way.
It is. Oh.
Yeah, that's okay.
I asked Colin right before this, and
that's the actual correct. I mean, I guess that would be the Hungarian way of saying, but we just go by Focht.
Oh, okay.
Don't get cussed at so much.
I'll take the blame for that. I'll take the blame.
That's okay. I am so used to it, believe me.
I was thinking about that all day. I was like, do I ask over text? Do I just ask Colin? I bet Colin knows.
It's okay.
Apparently I didn't.
Yeah.
But so just for people who don't know who you are, you're a track owner down in Portland. PDX RC has been going for a couple years now. When did you guys first open?
It was actually November 3 years ago, so we're going on year 4 already.
Wow. It's been that
long. I know,
long.
I can't believe it's been that long. I was like, wow. So
that's crazy.
It's gone, yeah, because I started thinking about it. Like, yeah, we had AstroTurf the first year, then we switched to gray carpet, and then now we're on black carpet. So it's been over 3 years now.
No, how cool.
Yeah.
So for you personally, how long have you been into RC?
Oh man, I think I started after I got married to my first wife, like early 90s, I guess. I remember I went into Tammy's Hobbies and I was going to get an airplane. And then the guy that worked there was like, well, you should try out a car. He goes, they race them. I'm like, what? And so I bought a Losi, whatever the truck was, JRX-T, I think it was. And I went out to Aerosports and I'm like, oh my God, this is so cool. So started then and just been doing it ever since. Then I quit when I moved to Florida, which maybe we can get into later. When we raced back in the day, it's like if you got a lap up on your friends or wherever, you would just stop and wait and race with them. So when I went down to Florida, we had loose dirt up here. They had clay. So I got down to Florida and it was like so easy to race. And I set the track record the first night I got there. And I was lap the field, so I stopped and waited. And then the local track hero had fists when I was leaving the driver's stand and wanted to fight me. So he said, nobody, makes fun of me in my track. And I was just having fun. So I sold everything. And then I didn't touch again until my son was born and we were back here. And he was about 7, I guess. And I'm like, hey, let's do RC again. And then that's when PRCR had opened up here in Portland. And that's when I met Joe Pillars and the Dunlaps and all that, and that's when I got back into it.
So speaking of Joe, how much has he helped with getting you to the point you are now?
Oh, a lot. It's like when I met Joe at PRCR, I was just kind of like a nobody, and he just would always help me out with setups and stuff. And then Aiden, he saw he had some potential, my son, so he was like helping him, and then I got so into it, I don't know if you guys remember the website, The Big RC.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I started that up just because I loved RC, and there was like really no one place you could get information. And then through that, I actually ended up getting an Orion sponsorship with, I was just watching Nats, I think it was, the year that Dustin Evans won with his 22 when it just come out. And I was in the chat thing, and I just go, hey, Losi should send me a 22. And just so happened the CEO of Orion was on there, and he was like, well, I'll send you the R10 and the programmer box. I didn't even know what it was. I'm like, sure. So he sent it to me, and Joe came into the track. He's like, how did you get that? I don't even have a programmer box yet. And I'm the team manager. I'm like, I don't know. So then Joe just ended up putting me up on the team, and then he put me on the Kyosho team and put my son on the team, and then we just kind of went from there. And he's just always we've been friends. We figured out the other day, like 10 years, I guess now. It's crazy how fast that goes.
Oh yeah.
And Joe's done a lot for the whole Portland scene, the whole Oregon scene, actually.
Yeah,
as far as
he's
supporting
kind of,
races and tracks.
Yeah, he's kind of the driving. He doesn't even know how much he means to the industry. He's such a humble person, and I always thought it was interesting because when he got out of PRC and the other tracks opened up and stuff in Portland, that no one reached out to him. It's like you have the world champion team manager in town as a local, and no one's asking him anything. And so when this track situation came, when there's a possibility, he was the first person I called to get him to the location and just see, because I was like, he's the one that knows. I don't, So he's always been really supportive. He like when the JCon races come, he tries to get like Mayfield or Cavalieri when he was on the team in a day early so they could come race at my track too. Yeah. So that's more of a local thing, which is, it's huge for the people here in Portland, little track and having the world champions here, that's like pretty cool. So.
Well, that's awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. And in the beginning of the decade, you mentioned that there was PRCR. You had PRCR, which eventually became Premier and then Top Gun, or is it Top Gun and then Premier?
Top Gear and then Premier.
Top Gear, that's right. And then Premier. And I think I remember it was Northwest Hobbies when it first started was a clay track for about a year. And yeah, the Portland RC scene for from 2011 to 2015 slowly started to get quieter. Tracks started closing. Yeah. And there was kind of a disparity for a little while, and a lot of people were wondering, well, what's going to happen down there? Are we going to get tracks again? And there, I was witness and got involved on a lot of online discussions that, people going back and forth and really, there's arguments all the time about, hey, what does Portland need? You eventually got to a point where you decided, you know what? I'm going to go all in and do it. And I guess what was the tipping point for you to be like, this is something that I can do, that is feasible, that, all these people that are telling me that this isn't going to work, this is how I'm going to prove them wrong. What was the moment that you kind of decided to pursue that option?
Well, I think, watching all these tracks go under and stuff, and I tried to help all the tracks, and I've tried to help all the tracks in the area, with the big RC. I used to go and interview Casey, and I went to Salem and did articles and stuff because I love the hobby. So my whole view is always how to grow the hobby, not necessarily, even with my track, it's not necessarily growing my track, but it's growing the hobby because that's better for everybody. But the whole track thing, I just kind of watched what other people did wrong, and I went, crazy thing, if everyone on the track, I would do this, this, and this, and this. Well, I'm a photographer by trade, and the swimwear company upstairs, I shoot for them, and he had been telling me for years to look at his basement for a studio. So I finally was there one day. I'm like, okay, I'll go look at it. And I went down, the ceilings were too short, and it's not going to work. Then he told me the rent, and I was like, I wonder what I could do with this space. And then it took me a couple of days. I'm like, oh. So I showed him a picture. Can I do this? It was an AstroTurf track. He was like, I don't care. And so I'm like, well, I'll just crowdsource and see how many people are interested. And that's literally how I got into it. I asked Joe what he thought. And, my son and I had done it all those years, and then he quit because of stuff that had happened at a track, which bummed me out. So I just decided when I did it, I'm going to kind of do it my way and try and get people that will react to things the way I do, just kind of have a little more fun with it, still take it serious, but I just don't like screaming and yelling and running cars into stuff and all that. And that's literally how I jumped into it. And I know you guys know how the rumor stuff goes around, people start talking and stuff. And there were some other track owners that were saying it was a bunch of crap, that I use other people's money to open the track. Well, the reality is I didn't. It's people donated. I think we had $5,000 within a week to help buy everything. Well, guess what? I gave them free racing for 3 months. So I didn't make any money the first 3 months of the track being open, So that whole rumor that I just use people's money, that's just not the way it was. My whole idea was to build a sense of community immediately to make people feel like they were part of this track. And it worked really well. We have a core group of people that were there from the beginning, and they're still there. And I'm proud of that. I mean, it's like I think we got a good group of people there at the track. I mean, when people come in new, one of the things I always hated when I went to a new track, everybody just kind of looked at you, and you feel really uncomfortable, and you kind of go in and you're like, I'm going to set up over here. Well, I introduce everybody. It may be embarrassing to them, but it's like, at least they know they're a sense of the track. And I think that's a big part of it. Die Hard does the same thing. You don't feel that when you go to Die Hard. You go to that track and you feel the same way, just kind of open and happy to be there. So,
well, right. And it's not just one or two people, owning and running a track. It's those one or two people surrounded by a community of 15 or 20, and that's the difference maker. Exactly.
And that's the thing that I've always said, when you come in, if you're racing one class, you're racing for 15 minutes and you're there for about 3 hours. Well, Die Hard, you're there for way longer, but our track's about 3 hours. So it's like, so you're actually hanging out with your friends for that whole time. You're not racing. So, which is more important,
Exactly.
So anyway, that's the long short of it, I guess. It fell into my lap. I just, was trying to find a use for the space. And I'll tell you what, once I opened the track, I had no idea there were so many professional track owners out there. Because
oh man,
everybody was telling me everything I was doing wrong. And I just I listened to some, and for the most part, I just I'm going to take my own path here and see what happens. Like when Joe would tell me something, I listened to him because he'd been at every track in the world. I'm like, oh, well, that's a really good idea. And every once in a while, somebody comes up and like, oh, that's actually really brilliant. Didn't even think about that. So, the cool thing in RC is that we have people from all walks of life. You got engineers, you got mechanics, you got dentists, it's just like all these different people. And I'm constantly amazed that like, I'll be, oh man, I wish I knew somebody that did this. Or, oh, well, yeah, I do that. I'm like, what? It just happened the other day with something. I was like, what? Oh, our microphone went out, the microphone cord. And I grabbed the backup, the wireless, and here Sean McClurg, that's what he does for a living. He does microphone stuff. So he took the cord back to the pit, he soldered it back up, and there you go. Like, I had no clue he did that.
Wild. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's cool, though. And you touched on it perfectly. It's people from all walks of life. It's people that you never would have otherwise even brushed shoulders with out there in the world. And, I mean, Colin can attest to it, too. Like, I mean, for me, like, RC plays into, the friends I have, the job I have, where I live. Like, it's pretty crazy when I go back and think about that sometimes. Colin kind of the same way. And it's easy to forget, I guess, the social aspect of it. And something that's always bummed me out about 10 scale racing in particular for years is that, like you touched on it in a couple points, like it gets really serious depending on where you go. Yeah. And it's like you couldn't cut the tension with a knife, and people kind of forget, hey, like we're all just here hanging out with our friends, which is something we kind of feel more on the outdoor side of things. So that's something that I felt Die Hard did very well, and I was wondering, well, how come other tracks haven't taken from this? And what you guys seem to have done it kind of all on your own. And maybe that's the lesson that you can use to teach other tracks or teach other people in the industry that are trying to make this leap, which is, surround yourself by quality people, and that community is going to drive you forward always.
Yeah, I do believe that, because it's like for me, I'm there on Wednesdays and Fridays to run the races. Jim Meyer, little Jimmy, he's been there in the RC scene forever. He runs Mondays, and he was like, hey, I think I'm going to just grill hot dogs for everybody on Mondays. Cool. Awesome. We had 2 hot dog rollers there, so that's what his day is. Brian Stromberg, he's hearing impaired. He runs Saturdays, so I got him a little a light thing so that when people come in the door, he knows they're there. And then my son was like, hey, Dad, I need some money. So I'm like, well, we'll open up on Sundays, and you can run Sundays and keep the money from that. So it's like a true community is running the track. So I'm not there I'm just there on race nights. And it's like, and these are guys that I trust, I know there's no money or stuff that's going to go missing. And it's like, I think Die Hard's kind of the same way. You guys got a crew of people that just do everything, you you have to have a figurehead, but then everything else is just run by everybody else. So,
well, right. One person does everything. You're going to burn yourself out fast.
Yeah, totally. And that, I actually took a year off of my photography to just kind of delve into this and just see what you could do at a track. And, and then the realization that space is great for a club track. But if I was going to actually make money, excuse me, I need to be at a way bigger space. And right now I'm just kind of not willing to do that because I just, like for me, what I do with photography, I make so much more money. So I just kind of decided, you know what, we're going to have the best club track we can be. And that's what we are. We're not going to do nationals, but we can be the best club track we can be. And people are having fun. And, it's my whole goal with this now is to make it sustainable so that if I step away, I'm not saying I am, but like in a couple of years, if I just get tired or whatever, it's set up to where either a club or the right person can take it over and it's set up to go. They don't have to do anything, They can just maintain it because the rent's cheap enough, for the space and with the memberships that kind of pays for the space. And then everything else on top of that is money that you make. So.
No, that's pretty cool. And I mean, like you said, it doesn't even have to be, the biggest track, the most populous, right?
Right.
As soon as it becomes a point of, at least some kind of self-sufficiency, then you can take solace in the fact that, you're a Portland staple, you're part of the scene. Because like you said, it's not just about you and what you're doing there. It's what that's doing for the scene overall. So if it can last in just a, not a small capacity, but just a constant, right? Not trying to, I always love the term jump the shark, right? Where they're always like trying to go for that opportunity. Then it's, there's not a need for that. So why do it? So that's cool that I suppose you're staying grounded there and maybe, I guess, smelling the roses early that like, hey, this is a really cool thing we have going here. Why fix what's not broken?
Yeah, I mean, then the thing is, I always look for different spaces. I've got my eye open, but it would have to be the right space. As you guys know, there's not a lot of money to be made in RC, so it's got to be the right space that can be sustainable. And and the rent here is the right price for that much space. And by the way, we are no longer the smallest track in Oregon with our upgrade. Just what's pointed out. We are now. Yeah, we're no longer we had the other track, I'm not going to say which one, was 4 feet longer than us, and we were 4 feet wider. Well, now we're 5 feet longer, so now we're not the smallest track anymore. we're 4 feet wider, 1 foot longer, so hey, there you go. So I no longer am the little kid on the block. It's kind of funny. The pits are a little tighter now, but I'll tell you what, by adding that 5 feet made a huge difference, especially for mod. An extra 5 feet on a straight, that gives us a 75-foot straight instead of 70. That's a pretty big difference. You wouldn't think so, but man, when you're on it, you notice it. So.
Right.
And that was something other people were telling me, no, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. You're going to take away 7 pit spots. I'm like, well, we aren't selling out now the way it is, and we can add those 7 on the side over here. Yep. And I think the 5 feet is worth it, for the track. And it did. It ended up being the right thing to do. So
that's awesome.
And you'll always have naysayers. I mean, no matter what, it's really funny with RC community, especially with track changes. Oh my gosh. That's the funniest thing. No matter what, there's a couple people at the track. This is the worst layout ever. And then after they race on it, they go, this is the best layout ever. So it's really
I always think the first run on any track, I'm like, oh my God, I hate this track.
Yeah.
Every time. Doesn't matter where I'm at.
Well, and it's like, you guys are diehard and stuff, they spend a lot of time on the layouts. And, and I think people think that I just pull the layouts out of my rear. And the reality is we got like Jimmy comes in, Brian comes in, and we'll build a section and then we'll test it out and see if it flows. Then we'll build another section. And then normally we'll run like a pack, and then I'll just kind of watch and go, that doesn't look right. And then I'll tweak that. And then we have a club race on it for a big race. We'll have a club race, and then I tweak a little bit more. So there's a lot of thought that goes into layouts, and trying to make it the best we can with our space. I don't always get them right, but I think more times than not, which was funny because people were like, you need to have other people do your layouts for you. So So, okay, great. I had other people do it. Then all of a sudden they're like, we love your layouts. You need to do the layouts again. So I'm like, okay. That was like really funny. So anyway.
Yeah, there's always going to be the crowd that isn't loving what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then the next week you change something and they love it and the rest of the people don't. So.
Well, I think that's kind of human nature, isn't it, though? When someone starts to be successful, people want to see them fail. There's just a certain group of people. I think that's human nature.
Yeah, you're probably right. It's like that itch you can't get to on your back.
Yeah.
For some people, like it's the craziest thing. And sometimes like you said, it's good to listen, to the criticism. Sometimes you might find something in there in terms of feedback that is actually really meaningful and something you can learn from. And then there's other times like, oh, well, every time you've been on the stand today, you've asked for a bucket to be moved.
Right.
So let's maybe find a balance. But no, I see what you mean.
Well, I do think it's like, I listen to everybody and take everything in. And then, then you kind of filter out, okay, what's really important here and stuff. And that is one thing with owning a track that has actually helped me grow, I think, personally, because as a photographer, fashion photographer, at the end of every shoot, if something's wrong, it's my fault. So with that, I just took control. I've been doing it for 30 years. So I just take control of the situation. It's like, it's not a democracy. It's a dictatorship. I'm the one in charge. And coming in here, I've had to learn to, really be a team player, and it took me a little bit to figure that out, because at first I didn't trust other people. I'm I got my own idea and stuff. And then I realized, oh, these people got some really good ideas, and they know more than I do about this. So, that was the thing when I opened. I had no idea how the software worked. I had never RD'd. I was like, I have no idea how to. I'd never built a layout. I had no idea. So it was pretty funny. I remember leaving. The guys came down. They're going to build jumps and a driver stand, and I had to go to a meeting for my photography. And I left for 3 hours. And I came back, and all the jumps and driver stand were done. And I was like, holy crap. They did it all themselves, and it was like a group of guys that had done this kind of stuff before. And I was like, okay, you guys go for it. Cause I don't know anything. I'm good at PR. That's my thing. I'm really good at PR. I used to own an ad agency. So the PR stuff is good for me, is easy for me. The rest of the stuff I had to learn on the go, man, and I still RDing. I'm like probably the worst RD out there. I think I'm funny, but other than that, I'm not very good at RDing. And
does everybody else think you're funny?
I don't know, but I don't care. I think so. Anyway, some people, it's funny because whenever there's moms come in, or they think I'm funny, but I don't think the guys think I'm funny anymore. So whatever.
I think they're looking at your beard.
Yeah, well, I actually shaved my beard off. I'm growing it back again.
I saw that.
Yeah, because Colin, I actually was going, man, this beard makes you look old. And then I shaved the beard off, and I went, oh man, I am old. It had nothing to do with the beard.
I might as well grow it back again.
Oh, now I'm growing it back again. I'm gonna get the handlebar back again because that looked pretty cool. So yeah, I'm growing it back again. Doesn't take me.
My beard's out of control.
Yeah. So, but last night I posted up this on Facebook. I don't know if you guys read that earlier about, my son came back and raced for the first time, and since he raced like one time just for goof off, but he's actually going to start racing again on Wednesday nights with me. So I'm really excited about that. And we were in a race or he was, and I was watching him, and somebody had crashed. There's a big table jump on the front, and somebody had crashed and was on their lid. And he came around and come up, jump, didn't see them. They were crashed, and he ran into them, and he went around, he pulled off and waited in the corner for the corner marshal to get him and flip him back. And I heard Rob, the guy that wrecked, was up there. Aiden, just go. And he waited. And then Rob went, and they went behind. And when he came off, I'm like, dude, why did you wait? And he's like, well, I don't know. I hit him, and I didn't know if he was already there or not. So he goes, so I just pulled over and let him go. And then I go, yeah, but it wasn't like your fault. And he's like, Dad, it's toy cars. And I kind of like went back and I go, wow. And I go, I remember teaching that, to no matter what, if you hit somebody, if you think it's your fault or not, you wait for them. And I started going through my head going, yeah, I taught him that it's more important to get people's respect than it is to beat them, And so that kind of took me back, because I've been having trouble at the track with people kind of hitting people and stuff, and they just keep going. And I've always kind of harped on that. So I'm going to go back to that again, because that is what needs to happen in this industry. It's not, especially club racing. Who cares if you win or not?
Yeah.
If you hit somebody, just wait for them. There's another race in a couple days, So,
right.
And people they're so worried about winning. And it comes back to the thing I was talking about, how, when was the last time either of you guys saw somebody that was in the lead, stopped and waited and let second place go in front of them to race them?
Right. Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen it, actually.
Yeah. And I've tried doing that a few times at the track when I was one of the few times I was in the lead, and stopped and let second place go in front and race with them. Because it's about racing. It's not, seriously, on like a club night, if you win or not, who cares? It's like, I don't care if I take fifth place as long as I have somebody to race with.
But you gotta have that race report posted the next day for your sponsors.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
So many people could learn from that, though. I mean, both of us sitting over here on top of every racer I know can learn from that. I mean, that's.
Oh yeah.
That's such a. I mean, that's it. That's the perspective. That is case in point of what is really important here. Are we just driving RC cars, or are we racing for something? Because I have a feeling that not a lot of us have a whole lot at stake here on the turnout of this race.
Yeah,
You know?
And it's like, from the mouth of babes, even though he's 19 now, I remember when he quit, and I was so bummed he quit. And I remember what happened. It's like he's wise for his age. Even then, it was at a regional race, and one of the local racers was TQ, and Aiden was on a TQ run. It was the last run of the round, and he came around a sweeper, and he had passed the guy that was TQ, and the guy took him off the track. Just literally, it was blatant. Like, they were going through a sweeper, and he turned into him, took him off the track, and Aiden popped the ball cup. And it was a rural regional. You can't fix a car when they're off. And so he ended up at the B main, and after that race, he goes, "You know what, Dad? If a grown man is going to do that to a kid like me, I don't want to be around these people." And I was like, that sucks, man. Because it's not everybody's like that, but there are a few people that are like that. And it's like, I think as a group, if we could kind of steer them in a different direction, And I try at the track to be serious when we need to be and have fun when we can. Like, during the summer is a great time for us because the turnouts are lower, and I do goofy things. Like, we had the kiddie pool of death, where I brought in a kiddie pool and filled it full of like little tchotchke toys and packing material, and put it between the jumps. And if you car ended in there, it disappeared. And then after the race, you had to come and get it and get out a toy. Just trying to show this is still fun, even though you're racing, you can still have goofy fun with it.
Right.
So. And I just think, there's certain tracks, like, just do that. They just run well and have fun. And people, Die Hard, for as serious as it is up there, it's really fun and lighthearted too,
It is.
And I
for
talk
the most
to Brett
part.
a lot. I message him all the time with questions, supper, call him, and just go, "Hey man, I got this going on. How would you handle this?" So, because I respect him, what they've done up there. That's amazing.
Yeah. A big part of their success is Brenda and her, the way they go searching for avenues to advertise and to bring people in.
Yeah. Oh, they just reach people so well. That's what it is. It's just reaching the right people all the time.
Yeah. They've done, like, always doing ads and Craigslist and all this kind of stuff about come to race your RC cars and this kind of thing, and it's paid off.
Yeah.
It sounds corny at times to people, but that is a big part of their success.
It's the community first attitude, really. Like,
right.
That goes with that.
Yeah.
It's a, hey, like, everyone's welcome. It's with open arms kind of thing. Like, hey, if it's RC, chances are we've got it here, and this is a place that you can be, and that's huge. Trying to have that inclusive atmosphere, because you have to run such a tight balance with it. Is it's, okay, like you said earlier, are we, we're pretty serious up here, which I would like to get maybe a little bit further away from.
Yeah.
But we're pretty serious up here, but it can still be a really fun day. Just hang out with all of your friends, and that's the balance that's really hard to achieve. And especially if you're going to bring in, but I guess maybe that's the secret to it, is bringing in all sorts of people and understanding that your average racer, not the guy that's going to go out and compete for wins, or the person that's out there trying to just get through the field of novice. It's just those people in the middle that make it all up. That's the core of your group, and those are the people that really set the atmosphere tone.
Well, that's very true, because as Colin and I talk about that all the time. It's the middle of the road stock racer that's your base. Those are the dudes that are women that you want. I just and I wish I could do more outreach like that, but since it's not a full-time gig for me, I do as much as I can. But they're on it with that. I think because you guys have a loaner car thing up there too, and I think we only have 3 of them, but that's a huge thing. So then somebody can come in, and I go, oh hey, well, do you want to try it out? And they're like, what? I go, yeah, here, take one of the loaner cars. And we don't charge anything for the loaner cars. I don't know what you guys do up there, but we don't. And so far the cars have actually held up pretty well. And I can't tell you how many people are like, oh my God, I got to buy one. Where do I get this? After one night.
That's where you have a ready to run kit on the shelf, ready to go.
Exactly. Well, we started doing consignment stuff now, which in the little shop I have, and that's been really good because, guys want to get rid of stuff. And, when new people, you tell them how much it's going to be to get in the hobby, it's like, they're like, whoa. But, there's some good buys on used stuff. So it's like a good way to get people into gear, decent gear, and get them going for a, inexpensive. So.
No, that's awesome. And that's expanding on avenues like that, because this can be kind of a hard thing to sell people on, especially with the price tag that's attached to it sometimes. So if you can just, hand someone a radio and be like, here, try it. Maybe this will convince you. And I think it works really well. I mean, we never seem to have people run on a loaner here more than 2, maybe 3 races before they're out here with something of their own.
Yeah, that's exactly. Same thing here. And, I'm a little bummed. I don't know if you guys saw, but I just kind of went no more Traxxas slashes at the track. I had to look at it from standpoint of, I want new people and stuff, but the reality is it's a racer's track. It's not a, basher track. And we were just having trouble, especially on the weekends, because the people come in that are normal bashers, and then they come in, they try to do that there. And it's like, everybody else is donated for the carpet and stuff. And so I just kind of went, well, we have loaner cars. So if they come in and they're bummed out, they can't put their slash on it, we go, well, here's a loaner, take that out there. And so I think that's a good balance there. And it, it just keeps the carpet safe.
Yeah, that's at the end of the day, that's not a cheap facility to maintain.
No,
so
carpet is not cheap by any means. So,
how do you feel that carpet is helping get new people in? Like, how, if somebody showed up to a clay track and wanted to get out there and run, they put their car down with brand new tires and went out and ran and couldn't drive it because it was spinning out all over the place. Carpet, you don't have that issue. Do you feel that the carpet is really helping with getting new people in?
Yeah, actually I do, because, you're pretty much hooked up with carpet right off the bat, with just about any tire. And another thing is the smell, especially an indoor facility that's dirt or clay, it's just like, with the fumes from the sauce and stuff, and just the mold and all that. And it's also cleaner too. So they come in the facility actually looks clean. At least I hope it does. I mean, we try to keep our place clean.
Now that you've painted the walls.
Yeah. I try and keep up on the painting and stuff. I actually tried. That's one of the things I think I do fairly well compared to some of the other tracks. I clean the track at least twice a week. I go through the pits, I vacuum, I vacuum the carpet before every race, and I just try and make sure it looks visually appealing, because I'm the visual person anyway. And I think that helps too, for new people when they come in. It's because and it's dirt. It's just dirt. There's dirt everywhere, and people come in there kind of like, especially if it's like a mom and a kid, they come in, it's like all dirty. They're like, ew, we have a little seating area that they can come in and watch and stuff. So, but I do think carpet makes it a lot easier to drive to begin with. I think as you advance along, then you find out there's the changes that you do to a car like my example is, if you change your rear camber length 3 millimeters on dirt, probably not even going to really feel it that much. But boy, if you did a 0.5 millimeter on the back of your carpet truck or carpet car, you're going to feel it. So it's just a wider, it's easier when you start, but as you go in, I think it's more technical. So that's my feeling anyway.
Yeah, it can be easier, but it can also be harder.
Yeah. So, yeah. But I just think, what was that track that ran? I forget. They had a big race there, and then the next day they're putting in carpet.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that's kind of the way things are going to go now. It's been in Europe for decades, and think about if you don't own your building, you go into somebody to lease a building. Go, hey, I want to bring in about 10 loads of dirt, and I want to pour water on it. And yeah, is that okay with you? No. I was amazed that PRC that they were able to talk them into doing that. Bringing in all that dirt. It's just amazing that if you don't own the building, talking to a landlord and doing that, I think those days are kind of gone now. So could be wrong, but I'm kind of curious. What do you think, like Colin, and what do you guys think? Like in 10 years, how many indoor dirt tracks do you think are going to be left?
Oh, I think clay is on its, it's on its downswing for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I raced clay for the first 5 years that I was in RC, and it was a cool place we had. It used to be Mike's RC World in Bellingham.
Yeah.
I took a spell to Tacoma every once in a while. I took a trip to PRCR in Northwest when it opened, and all the facilities were great, the people were great, but man, clay just wasn't that fun for me because there's just, I guess there's a cleanliness factor to carpet. Now, to me, it's a little bit easier in terms of, me being able to maintain equipment on carpet, and it's easier to get people into it. It's just, I didn't know anything, setup wise or tire wise or anything for those years, and I was firing blanks all the time anytime I bought something, and it just never worked. And it's so important to have that ease of access, and RC hasn't had that for a long time. And so just like you touched on, not only is it more sustainable from a facility point in terms of not only being able to maintain a track, but also just even convincing landowners that, hey, this is something I'm going to do with this. I'm going to turn it into RC track. That makes such a big difference, I think. And you see it all the time now where we hear of a long-time clay track making the switch to carpet just because it's just a smarter business model. And, people can say whatever they want about it. If it's, they want to call it on-road with jumps or whatever. But the matter is at the end of the day, I think we'd rather have this than nothing at all. And despite being in Die Hard at the beginning, I was probably one of the biggest naysayers of artificial surfaces. And I've come around to it completely. And I think everyone else will too.
I had the same feeling. Carpet. Oh, God. Why do I want to run that? That's not off-road. But
believe it or not, I did too. I remember when RC Plus had their indoor carpet, and Cameron Kellogg, I don't know if you guys know him.
Oh, yeah.
He was like, hey, man, just come down and race the carpet. Like, carpet? What do you talk about? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And even Joe, when I opened, said I was going to do an AstroTurf track. He's like, yeah, I'm not really interested in that. And then he came down and helped out, and then we set it up, and then he came. In fact, I just got an email through from Joe, kind of funny, just popped up. And then he came in, and I go, just run on it. And he ran it, and he goes, this is fun, And so, because he had done Premiere before with the slicks with sauce, and I'm like, no, I'm not doing that, because I don't want sauce inside the building, I do think that's one thing with carpet that's way different than dirt is, there's 3 brands basically of carpet tires, and any 3 of them will work,
Yeah.
Where you go to dirt and it's just like, are they half pins? Are they full? Whatever. It's like, are we doing ghosts? Are we doing slicks? Are we saucing? Are we, it's just like there's just a myriad of choices to make, and I think that's really confusing for people.
Oh yeah, and that was the difference for a number of people in terms of just, is this even worth doing?
Right.
Yeah, the tire game on clay was really what turned me off.
You'd have to go with just a box full of tires of all different types,
Yeah.
Hoping one of them would work,
Which I've got a box here that I haven't used in a year. I've got a box of them all in different sets of, different wear and different this and that. And I just cleaned them up. Was it yesterday or the night before or whatever? Put them all in a great big tote. So if somebody wants these tires, you can have them. I got a whole tote full of them.
There you go. Yeah, I'm trying to, what is it? Tacoma, and where's the closest indoor dirt track?
Pretty much Tacoma?
Idaho, Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. I mean, what? Cottage Grove isn't around anymore, right?
No.
Nope.
So,
yeah,
I guess it is Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake City or NorCal.
Or I don't know what's closer for...
So what you're saying is there's nothing else really close.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's Salt Lake City or Reno, really.
Oh, maybe Reno.
Yeah,
Reno or NorCal.
Yeah.
NorCal went to carpet, I think.
Long story short here, not anywhere close.
Yeah. And so, I don't know. I just, like I said, I think I'm definitely not a trailblazer at this, but I just think it's like carpet is where it's at now. Once they started sweeping the clay, I'm like, what are we doing?
Running slicks.
It's supposed to be off-road and we're sweeping dirt.
Yeah.
What the heck is going on here? So, and I started out on loamy tracks. I got at Dave's and stuff, and like Aerosports was just loamy dirt.
Dave's so awesome.
Yeah, I know. I miss Dave's. Had some great times out there, me and Colin. Well, Colin, that's how we're friends, is from RC. We didn't know each other before RC.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty much everybody that I associate with are RC friends.
Yeah, and it's like, Colin and I, we had some brutal times there with our personal lives that we were able to just kind of commiserate with each other at the RC track.
Yeah.
We both got dumped at about the same time.
Yeah.
I think within like a week of each other, I think we got dumped.
I went on this date tonight with this girl, or it was every day there was a story.
Yeah, I know. It was really pretty funny.
Yeah. So you guys got new carpet down there.
Yeah, we did. I have a buddy, Byron. Him and his dad used to run, what was it called? Kit Car in Portland years ago, and I was sponsored by him, and he runs a carpet place now. And so, the Lowe's carpet is what everybody does. So I just go, well, I'll see if he can get this. And I took it into him, and he was like, this is literally, I can't even buy carpet that's this cheaply made. I'm like, what? And he's like showing me the difference. So I kind of took a chance, and I would talk to Brett about it. He goes, oh man, you're taking a big chance changing your carpet up. And I kind of told a little fib and said it's the exact same carpet as the gray carpet. It's just black. Because I knew if I didn't say that, people would come in and go, oh, the traction's horrible. So now that everybody's on it and love it, I actually got a thicker loop carpet that's going to last longer, not tear, and it actually helps with the tire wear because it's got more loop to it. You're not getting down to the base of the carpet. And it's been insane. I mean, the traction's awesome, and I am working on about 35 packs on a set of Nessies, and they still look new, and I'm not kidding you on that.
Wow.
I can't even believe it myself. I just keep coming up. I'm like, I got to change these tires. Nope, I don't. So business-wise, it's not a really good idea. But for the racers, it's awesome now. And the black, I was a little worried about seeing all the white and stuff on it, but it's actually been not so bad. And then knowing I was getting black, I wanted to brighten the place up, so I did that yellow back wall. So we have good contrast now, because the gray always jumps kind of blended into the white. so you couldn't really see the edge of the jump if it was along the wall. So I painted that yellow, and then I'm keeping the gray carpet for the jumps so that there's a contrast that you can actually, because we were always taping the tops of the jumps and stuff so you can see where they are. And now it's just, I don't know, it's working really well. It looks great. It's easy to drive. And like I said, the tire wear is amazing and the traction's amazing. So I'm hoping that, when Die Hard or whatever, because he's talked to me, he was asking me about it and stuff. So I got it for the same price too. So
oh, nice.
It's a better carpet for the same price. But I didn't know anything about the carpet until he started talking to me. He was showing me the difference. I'm like, wow, that's a huge difference. So where the Lowe's carpet, when you actually press on it, you can actually see the base underneath. Yeah. You don't have to press very hard. Well, this, you press on it, you got to press really hard to be able to see the base. So there's more loop per inch. And it's just, I've had one rip so far, and it wasn't even really a very big rip. So
that's great.
I'm hoping. I mean, I put it on top of the other carpet too, so there's more padding now too. So that should help with tire wear, I would think too. More padding should be less gripping of the tire. So
yeah,
looks good.
Seems to be the trend with new carpet is slightly less grip, but way better tire wear.
Yeah. And we were at the end of the gray carpet. It was done. We were like, I would be lucky to get like one practice run and then two mains or one main and two quals on a set of Nessies. They'd be gone.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's carpet has a shelf life.
Yep.
And it needs to be replaced. That's just nature of the beast. But
it is.
The amount of money you save on track rebuilds over the course of 2 or 3 years.
Oh my God.
It more than pays for new carpet.
Well, that's what Joe and I were talking about that one day. He came in, he was helping me do a layout, and he's like, oh my God, this is just unbelievable. He goes, it would take them, he said, it would be about a week's worth of work to get the track in. He goes, because you got to till it up and all that stuff, put water in it, let it sit, and then you start forming it, and you got to let it sit. And he said it would be basically the track would be closed for a week.
Right.
And then he goes, and then if you get a jump wrong, the lip wrong or something, there's really nothing you can do about it. It's just the way it is. So he's like, I can't even fathom going back to that. So
yeah, you can make a track change in the matter of a couple hours.
Well, today I went in, I'm like, well, we ran on this layout. We got a series race tomorrow. So I went and I changed the core of the track in about an hour.
Yeah.
You just can't do that with, and we're, going up to, once again, to Die Hard and seeing how you guys did some things that gave me some ideas on, like we had big landings that were heavy, that were hard to move around. And then I'm like, oh, they're just doing 2x4s, with plywood on top of it for the landings. That's a lot easier than a big landing.
Those also flex, and your car hops on them occasionally.
Yeah.
So that's not ideal. So the more solid you can make the landing, the better.
Well, that's another thing with who knew the guys at your track. Rob Undrill, he's actually like a product designer, so he's been designing these amazing jumps that each weigh less than 20 pounds.
Oh, nice.
And he splits them up so everything's in little pieces, and so it's all. And he's building it so they all work together. I think we're doing 6, 12. 6 and 12, so that anything can be put together, and it's amazing what you can do with the stuff he's bringing in. So, and I had no idea. He was finally was like, you know what? Can you let me design some jumps for you? And he brought one in. I'm like, this is amazing. Do all the jumps you want.
Yeah. And that's how it goes. You get somebody that finally wants to volunteer and do something, and then all of a sudden, boom, you have another contributor to your track. And
and then he was actually cutting them. They had some sort of wood lathe thing or whatever at his work. Well, then another guy that races there, his dad owns a company that has a water jet cutter, and he was like, well, shoot, I can do the cutting for you. So now I got these two guys that are just he'll send him a design, he'll cut it, and then Rob puts it together and brings it in.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So you guys like to run your series races down there. There's always a series going on.
Yeah, it's I just learned that early on with the track that they don't really like to just do club races, and they don't like 2-day events in the track here at all. They like to have a series going at all times. Right. So that's just,
I mean, that makes it easy, a quick in and out, an evening, one evening a week or something.
Yeah.
Instead of 2 or 3 days, at a track. So I get that.
And it only took me about 2.5 years to figure this out. Joe's always done the Rockstar on Friday nights, the Rockstar series. That's his series. Yeah. And I was like, down here, there's always a problem because there's 3 tracks. There's 2 race days in the weekend. And it always seemed like I was getting in trouble and stepping on somebody's toes, And so I finally went, Rockstar works on Friday. I'm just going to not race on the weekends. And I'm going to switch to Friday night. It's been the best thing I've ever done. Yeah, we have so many more people come Friday nights than they do on the weekends, and during the summer too. And it's like, and it makes sense because you got the weekends for your family then if you want.
That's right. Yeah.
You get off work, you're like, I'm just going to go to the track for a few hours, and then I'll be done, and then I can have the rest of the weekend with family, and the wife doesn't get mad at you, So.
Exactly. Yeah, I love the Rockstar races, man. I've been down a couple times for some of those at your track, and it's always a good time. Lots of good competition. It's great. I wish it wasn't Friday nights because that means me taking the whole day off to come down.
3 days up there, I get that.
But it is what it is, and you guys are making the best for what you've got. So
yeah, exactly. And then and now we have the Portland Ketchup Series, which everybody was laughing at me when we first started, and now they love it.
I was going to mention the ketchup series. I need a bottle of that mustard.
I know, it was really funny because I was just like, the Rockstar and all this stuff. I go, there's got to be somebody local, and I'm like, oh man, I love Portland Ketchup, and I just sent him an email saying, hey, I got this RC track. I was just open, and I go, would you guys sponsor? He goes, I don't know, come in, and I went in, and he's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. So I'm like, I don't really know either, and he just goes, sure, here's some ketchup and mustard. And it just kind of took off from there, and they've been doing it every year since. And this year has been great because we changed it up a little bit. And the first race, everybody was kind of not sure what I was doing. But we're doing Reedy format for the whole series. So there's no qualifying. You come in, you run 4 random mains. So at the end of the series, there's 8 days, I think it is. There's going to be 32 races to pull from. We're going to drop 8. And so we're going to count up all the points from all 26 races or whatever, 24 races. So and what it ends up doing is everybody's at the track watching every race because they know that point, your 4th instead of a 5th might make the difference in a place at the end of the series.
Oh, so you don't count each night individually. You count each individual actual heat race.
Yep.
Individually.
Yep. So
that's interesting.
What we do every night is that's how you win. If you win the night with your points, then you win a bottle of ketchup or mustard. And then at the end of the series, there's going to be trophies, and it's your whole racing is what's counting. So it's kind of picked up now. People are like, oh, this is awesome, because you come in and you're just racing. There's no qualifying.
Everybody knows how I feel about qualifying.
I know, me too. You and I are the same way on that one, man.
Oh, God.
I'm always like, okay, we're qualifying. When are we going to call this racing? Because it's heads up anyway.
Right.
To me, it's just make no sense. But it is what people are used to. So, change is pretty hard. I mean, I've tried some things and people just, we did one series that was, the qualifier was your 3 fastest consecutive laps.
Yep.
And we just do one. I thought it was awesome because you could screw up and you go, okay, I'm going to just pull over here, wait for some open track, and then start going again and try and get 3 laps in. Yep. And there was strategy to it, and people just hated it. They're like, why can't we just do regular quals? I'm like, oh my gosh. So.
Because they don't get it.
People, I don't know. Everybody, has their thing. One of the races I'm working on it right now. I got to figure out a date. And I want to do it sort of like F1 style or every other type of racing, basically, where I'm going to do, I think, 2 4-minute quals, but it's like your hot lap is what's going to count.
Yeah.
and then do triple mains. You just qualify in your main, and that's where you are, and you go to triple mains from there.
Right.
Because every other race is like that. F1, it's like get to your hot lap, and I think it'd be fun if people be watching to see who has the fastest laps up and know what you have to break, and Or I was thinking maybe doing a 1 10-minute qual for each group, and you can go back to your pits and stuff and change tires, change setups, and you got 10 minutes to do it, which might be more interesting too. I don't know. So that part I'm still trying to figure out. But I like the idea of just like do whatever to get your hot lap in for your qualifying.
Yeah. No,
it's going to come down to hundreds of seconds, at that point.
Exactly.
So, and I think that'll be exciting. So just do a one-day event like that. So look for that coming up in the future here. I'm going to probably after the JCon race down at Albany.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I don't know. I just like to do things different every once in a while, just kind of change things up because it gets boring when you're doing the same thing every week.
Yeah, you need variety.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. At Die Hard, we race once every 2 weeks. So that is the variety.
It is. It is. That's
what I mean.
Brett was talking to me about that. He goes, he said, the thing here, we only race every 2 weeks during the winter. He said, so we don't have the trouble that you have down there because people don't really have a time to complain because we're not open enough.
Right.
He said, where you're open all the time, so people are going to start inventing problems,
Yep.
And, and I just keep telling people, do you know how lucky we are to have a track in the middle of Portland proper? Not in some weird place. We're in Portland proper, and that's just a rarity. So
Southeast, baby.
Yeah. I kind of wish it was on the west side, but be easier for me. But it's pretty easy to get in and out of there off the freeways.
Well, it's pretty easy for you because you don't freaking work.
Oh, what are you talking about, mister? Oh my God!
Ouch.
What are you talking about?
Are you working again?
Oh yeah, I'm working again.
Okay.
I'm actually working on I'm going to be working on a movie here next month.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that's actually where I'm moving into, more of that. So
very cool.
Yeah, going into directing and hopefully director of photography or gaffer. I want to light stuff. I either want to direct or light. That's what I like to do.
Well, if you're going to be a director, you need the handlebars back.
I know. That's exactly why I threw them too, actually, because I know this industry will like that kind of stuff. And I tell you, it's weird because I've always been a type of person that out in the real world, I don't really want to be seen. I just kind of go about my thing. But I had people stop me all the time, talking to me about my mustache. It was really funny. Just random people, old ladies, young girls, men, whatever. Oh my God, your mustache. How do you do that? So that was kind of a strange thing for me. Because Colin, you and I, we don't exactly have the mugs that stop traffic.
No, you're right there.
And we don't have the hair on top of the head to do it either.
Yeah, I got none of that. I got to try to look ridiculous as possible so that people actually look at me.
You're funny.
Oh.
So
Kevin, I have
you guys
sorry, go ahead.
Doing this here. What do you think is the biggest problem in our industry right now? Because it seems like it's on a decline right now, and I'm trying to figure out what's going on.
Attitude.
Coronavirus.
I mean, topically, yes, coronavirus, I guess, if we want to get into the purely economic side of it. I don't know. For me, it's attitude right now. I know the winters are kind of hard on people because, like Colin and I are a good example of, we're primarily outside guys when it comes to RC. So, we like our nitro, we like our big dirt tracks and stuff like that. And
yeah.
We love what we have up here in Die Hard, and I mean the park in the summer is just awesome.
Yeah,
but it's definitely a secondary to what we prefer and what our passion is. And so I understand that that's like that for a lot of people. Obviously, we don't get a lot of sun in the Pacific Northwest, so or at least on the rainward side of the mountains. So people get a little bit more depressed in the winter, and I don't know, for whatever reason this past 3-ish months or so have just felt a little bit different. It's just felt a lot worse. It seems like maybe the online warfare is a little more rampant than it's been in the past, and to me that's been a big issue. Like, it's unfortunately, like, it's kind of killed any real motivation I've had for driving right now. Like, I'm podcast only. I don't even own equipment at this point, or radio.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's you know, it kind of got to that point where it was just like, well, you know, so many people are losing focus of what made this a positive experience for them, because it's supposed to be. I mean, it's RC cars. Like, it's supposed to be a positive experience. Yeah. And yeah, I guess there's the, you know, I think all three of us here also have a business aspect of it as well, right? You know, we all have that in some sort of way, and you know, I had a great conversation with Chuck Harris, who's a fan of the podcast and a big supporter of us, and you know, we're just one of our better friends up here, and he put it into the best words I've heard, where it's just, you know, hey, if you turn a passion into a business, sometimes you lose that passion for it. And that's kind of where I'm at, where I'm just, you know, trying to refocus and be like, look, RC can still be a great thing. I love what I do for the show, but racing just is kind of not my thing right now, and this is why. And this is a good point for me to come back and hit center, because look, RC's going to be here forever. So right. at least that's I have a positive enough outlook on the future of RC that I think that, right. I don't think it'll die off.
Right.
But that's where I'm at, but that's kind of what led to that decision more than anything.
Well, I totally get it, because like photography would start out as a hobby, and you know, it's like I used to shoot all the time, and now I only shoot when it's like I'm getting paid now. You know, it's definitely not a hobby anymore. And when I opened the track, the one thing, I didn't even own a car when I opened the track. I don't think most people know that. The Schumacher team actually built me for the first Rockstar. They built it, and I had like a part done, and they actually were in the pits building it. And I got out there for the first qualifier with a car they built. They go, get out there. But my whole thing with the track was like, you know what? And I catch myself sometimes falling into it, because I've seen that with other tracks where the track owners are more into their racing than running the track. And I can see how that can happen. But my thing has always been, you know what? The track comes first. And then if I can race, awesome. If I can't, oh, well, you know, and I get to race most nights. But, you know, some people are like, well, you know, you suck tonight. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm up there and I'm listening to the RD and he can't figure something out, so I have to go down and help him. And it's like, it's not about me racing, you know. That's why when I came up to Die Hard that time, it was so fun for me to actually just sit in the pit and just race. And I was able to make both A mains. I almost beat Colin, damn it.
You out-qualified me.
But yeah, it was just like fun for me to actually be able to just be a racer for once and kind of take in the whole thing. And it kind of gave me a little bit of, you know, it kind of renewed me a little bit when I came back down the track, because then I was able to go about it from the racer's perspective again. You know, instead of the owner's perspective, it gave me, oh, well, that worked really well or whatever. And like, what did I like there? And how can I put that in my track? You know, and I do try to get around once in a while to other tracks to see what's going on. It's hard sometimes because I have a family and stuff. And I'm like, well, I'm going to go down to Albany, let's say. And I'm like, I have my own track. I can just go to that, you know?
Right.
So, and I think people think that I'm at the track every day, you know, running packs. I never do that. I mean, I might come in, like Jimmy will go, hey, come in early, and I'll come in early, but then I find about 20 things to do. And he's like, are you going to run? I'm like, oh yeah, I suppose I should, you know, and then we goof around for a little bit. And I normally don't even get a practice pack in before we race, you know, because it's a business. It's like, you know, somebody has to run the show. And I think I've seen too many track owners not do that. And then the tracks end up kind of going in a wrong direction because they're more worried about their racing. And plus you don't, you know, I just think it's a weird look if you got a really good driver that's beating everybody all the time and they own the track. I'm not sure that's a look I want. I don't think I have to worry about that with my skill set, but
I know what you mean though. It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I don't know. It's just like, just try and keep my eye on the long thing here, the long road, I guess. And that is one of the things I would like to bring up here is, you know, the whole And it's I don't know if it's probably somewhere else in the United States, but the whole thing here in the Northwest or Oregon specifically, the track's not working together. And it's been that way since I was racing a long time ago. And I've tried to get, a series going between the tracks, and it just keeps failing. And I don't know what it is. My whole thing is like, I just think more racers anywhere or more racers everywhere, I guess. It's just kind of, if Albany has a whole bunch of people, eventually some of those people are probably going to go, hey man, let's go check out Portland. Because I know like the Portland guys they want to see the other tracks too. And they go down there. And that's how I feel about it. It's like, we need to work together as a hobby, to grow this hobby instead of trying to be so insular in what we're doing. I mean, like, especially in Oregon, we have 3 tracks within about 90 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
It would be awesome to have a series between the 3 tracks. It just,
that's right.
I've tried a couple times. I know there's been a couple races I've tried a couple times. For whatever reason, it just doesn't come together. And I don't know what it is.
There used to be, I think, Premier, RC Plus, and Albany.
Yeah.
Northwest Hobbies. There was a series one year, I believe.
Yeah, Albany he was doing both Albany and Premier at that time. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm just putting it out there to the other track owners. You guys come up with something, I'm all in. I didn't care what it is. I'll just do it. I'll say right here, right now, I'll do it.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and that was even back, I think, when Northwest was clay. So it wasn't even all carpet tracks.
Well, the one I did with Aiden, my son, was like all carpet.
Okay. Well, I ran a series. I think it was the 3 tracks. Maybe it was just 2 of the tracks. But Premier was carpet and Northwest was clay. Because I remember going down with my Schumacher, and I was like, "Screw you guys! I'm putting slicks on." Everyone else was running treads, and the thing was ballistic. It was. The tires were snapping.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And after that first qualifier, everybody else had slicks on, so I fell back. But
well, I'll tell you what, I'm just a big picture guy when it comes to RC, where it's like, I just look at stuff and go, when people start talking negative or whatever, and like, it's like, it just hurts the hobby, And yeah. I guess there's been times online where I started something and then it just kind of went south in the negative thing. And I'm like, wow, man. Like, if you bring up stock racing at all, 75 racing, oh my God. It's just, hilarious.
We never talk about stock racing on this podcast.
Yeah, not once.
Well, I'll tell you what, yesterday's race, we had more 21.5s than we had 17.5s.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Did everybody in 21.5 deserve to be in 21.5?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
A bunch of guys moved up to that was novice. I guess I call mod novice sometimes. But somebody stopped by and just kind of going, "Hey man, you guys should move up." And they have moved up, and they moved up, and they kicked my butt.
Yeah.
And I knew they would. So it's good to see them, bumping up like that, having a progression, because some of those guys that are mid pack, once the super fast guys that I feel shouldn't be in there anyway move up, then those guys can start winning, and then they'll get better.
It should be the progression for sure.
Yeah. And what's happened with a couple of guys is they moved down from 17.5 because they were kind of the back of the pack. Like one guy in particular, he moved down, went to 21.5. Within like a month, he was winning, and he just kept winning all the time. Now he moved to mod, and he's awesome because he learned to drive proper lines.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It just worked like it should, So I don't know. I love 21.5 class. I just love seeing all the cars go down the straight at the exact same speed.
Yeah. Back to your question about what we can do to make things grow, and when you mentioned the hobby kind of in a decline right now, Travis's point about the online warfare and the animosity between brands and sponsored drivers and this kind of stuff. But it also comes down to there's no real ladder for people to work their way up.
Yep, I agree.
I mean, we have different levels of cars, but is that a skill-based progression, or is that just a motor speed progression?
That's interesting, yeah, because it's like, and as a track owner, you're kind of like, you don't want to force people into class that you think they should be in because they just spent money on something. Mm-hmm. But there's times I'm like, oh man, they need a 21.5 and they can't handle 17.5. But I can insinuate that, but I can't tell them, hey, you need to run 21.5. You know,
right? Exactly.
Where the people that have started at our track, which is great because now we have people that have been in kind of the system, I guess we call it, that came in a novice, and I told them buy a 21.5 because after that you're going to go into that class. So then it's not a big deal for them. Now one of the guys has gone through that. Now he's a better racer. Now he wants to get a 17.5, so he doesn't feel like he bought something then had to buy something else. So right. And that is one thing I feel like when we opened, I knew we wouldn't have very good racers, and other racers would have to come from elsewhere to have good racer track. And I feel like we've done a good job of kind of nurturing the guys, and now we have some really fast dudes at our track. And I knew it would take a while, and I'm proud of our guys. When they go down to other tracks and stuff, they tend to do fairly well. And I know they bitch and complain about some of our layouts being really technical, but like when I went up to Die Hard and I remember somebody saying, oh, those jumps are really close together, they're hard. I'm like, are you kidding me? It's like you got 10 feet between those two jumps. You want to try and downsize something, try one of ours where you got like 4 feet, So, and that's always been a thing with ours because we have a smaller track. The only thing we can do to make our layouts longer is go up. So we have more elevation changes, I think, than anybody. Because
you need a second floor there, a second level.
Oh, believe me, I've thought about it. If I could figure out how to corner marshal it, I'd put a straightaway down that back wall, but I just can't figure out how to make it work.
A great big hook on the end of a pole.
Yeah, I don't know, something. But so like once again, everybody thinks I just kind of put these layouts together just to mess with people, and it's like my whole thing all along has been 2 easy layouts and 1 technical layout. 2 easy ones, 1 technical. Because that way you kind of can hone your skill sets. Every once in a while you have to use your brakes.
Yeah.
I don't think that's a bad thing.
After spending a little bit of time down in California this year, or what is it? The last 6 months, I should say. I've kind of come to the realization that the more technical tracks develop better drivers. But the more technical tracks, until our drivers get better, produce worse racing.
Yeah, probably true.
So for me, in order to get faster, people need to drive on more technical tracks.
Yeah.
Because we go from here and we go and race down California, we're out to lunch.
Yeah. Yep.
We can't drive those technical tracks.
Yeah.
But if we put technical tracks in up here right now, it makes for pretty poor racing.
Right.
Nobody can drive on them.
Yeah.
So I don't know what the answer is, but there's got to be a happy medium somewhere where we just gradually work our way up to it. I don't know the answer to it. I'm not a track owner, but
yeah, that's how. I mean, it's always a balance, and like another balance is stock versus mod. I've always felt, and it's always been like this, the tracks I've been to, where there's one jump section that mod can make and stock can't.
Yep. But I 100% agree.
If you do that, the stock guys just get furious. They're like, think I'm there just trying to break their cars and stuff. Like, I put a quad in one time for mod, and it was a very simple double for stock. And I'm always thinking about how can stock do this, or 21.5. And they kept trying to make the quad, and they'd break an A-arm or whatever. They'd be hitting the top of the jump. I'm like, well, don't do that. Do a double. Well, why don't you just change the track? And so I finally just ended up taking out one of the jumps and doing an easy triple and like just to keep people happy. But it's like, it's frustrating for me from that standpoint where it's like, you know what? If you want to make that, drive mod. If not, do a double,
Yeah.
Right.
And it's not like the whole track like that. I'm talking one jump sequence, So
yeah, and I agree. I feel the same way. There should be a feature on the track that only mod can do. But like I've preached before, the bottom 75% or the middle 50% or whatever it is are the people you need to cater to, and not the elitist mod guys. But
no, and I really try hard not be that elitist mod dude. You know, I mean, I'm like one of those tweener guys where I'm not really good enough for mod, but I'm too good for stock most of the time. So it's like, and for me, I'm racing with my buddies. I don't care what class it is, and I just like to go. I mean, Colin, I put a 5.5 in now, just because I just want to go faster. I'm no faster, but it's just way more fun. And everybody's like, "Why don't you just put a slower motor?" I'm like, "Because it's not as much fun." And eventually I'll figure out how to use it. But right now, man, I'm passing people on the straight, and that's all that matters to me. I get killed in the infield, but
you got bigger balls than I do.
I actually turn faster laps with that now than I do with my 6.5, so I'm getting better at it.
Wow. So I better step it up.
Well, I got tired of like up there. I boosted my 6.5.
Jesus.
So I'm like, well, instead of boosting, why not just the bottom end will be easier to drive with a 5.5 than a boost to 6.5. So
anyway. All right, that's it. I'm getting a bigger motor now for outdoors.
Yeah. Come on, man. Man up.
All right. I'll do it.
So, Kevin, I have a pretty decent amount of Facebook questions.
Oh.
Some of them we've touched on, and I'll kind of ask those first. But I think I'm good to answer. Good to have you answer these finally. So, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Awesome. Okay. So, the first question kind of came from James Brown. We already touched on that. It was, the black carpet versus the gray carpet. It seems pretty much a no-brainer that you're pretty happy with the carpet you have now.
Yeah, I am. And just so people know, it's not a U.S. carpet. It's close to the gray stuff. It just got a little more loop. Because a lot of people think black carpet, they think U.S. carpet. It's not a U.S. So
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, people associate the color of the carpet with certain race series and this kind of stuff, and you can get carpet in any color, guys.
Yep.
So,
in fact, I thought for a little bit they made a pink carpet. I go, that would be funny.
I'll come up with a name for that, but I don't think we can mention it on the show.
Yeah, that would not be good.
Oh boy. Moving on. Shannon Halfeck asks, why is mustard more popular over ketchup at the Portland Ketchup Series race? What are the benefits of ketchup in RC racing?
Shannon has to say that because he was Team Mustard. But I'll tell you what, who won the last series was Team Ketchup. So I actually have a lot more mustard left, Shannon, this year than last year. So you haven't been around much either, though, so you aren't pushing the mustard. So ketchup's really good at, like, I don't know, keeping racers happy. Mustard's sour. That's like Shannon, he's sour. So that's why he likes mustard.
Oh boy.
Oh man.
I love Shannon. That was funny. That would just kind of happen naturally, like the ketchup versus mustard thing. Just all of a sudden he was like saying somebody made a sticker that said Team Mustard. And then I'm like, what? Team Mustard? We're Team Ketchup. And then we kind of started going against each other. It was kind of a natural, fun thing. So I kind of missed that a little bit. We don't have that this year. So maybe next year. I'm more of a barbecue sauce sort of guy anyway. So they came out with barbecue sauce this year. I'm hoarding that, though, for myself.
I prefer hot sauce. But
well, who knows? Maybe next year.
Oh, boy. Peter H. Nielsen asks, when are you getting a sign out front? That place is nearly impossible to find.
Well, there's kind of a reason behind that. I like to think that, I want people to have to search to find us. But actually, I have a sandwich board I've got to get finished up, and I'm going to have that out there on race days. So.
Awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
First rule. What's the first rule of Fight Club?
Exactly. You don't talk about Fight Club. Well, part of it, too, is like because... we have so much crime here, it seems like, in Portland. I mean, somebody tried to break in there once. They had a crowbar and stuff, so now we got the door so they can't. So I always thought having a thing saying RC track on the front door, probably not a good idea. because people were going to want to try and break into it. So we had one person come in. It was on a Saturday, and they stole my speaker. I had one of those Bluetooth speakers, and they stole the speaker, but they forgot the charge cord with it, and it didn't have a battery in it. So they got a nice paperweight. But yeah, that was kind of part of the thing. I didn't really want to have people knowing there was a bunch of RC stuff in there when I'm not there. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
Dax Simonelli asks, why is 21.5 not more popular with all the effort? Seems like a bunch of good drivers running the new quote novice unquote class. Are you really facing that right now?
Not at all. 21.5 is our fastest growing class, and we don't really. Some of the guys that came down to run it for a while have now moved out of it because then they got tired of. And I just told them, I go, look, you need to move out of this because a lot of guys liked it when we first got it because it's a racers class. Everybody's
right.
equal, and so it's all who drives the best line. And some good guys came in, and at first I was kind of like, I don't know, but then I went, you know what? These new drivers that are going into this can actually see how to drive a good line, So now it's back to that natural progression. Guys come into it when they win a bunch of races, then they just kind of move on to something else because it gets boring for them. But now this guy last night that's racing 17.5, and he goes, I'm buying a 21.5 for Friday because I just need to slow down. So
yeah.
I don't know what Dax is talking about because that's our fastest growing class. So
yeah, we're the same up here.
Yeah.
I mean, especially at this last race. I mean, I have maybe 1, 2, on occasion 3 people who are maybe a bit fast for the class, but it's kind of like if they break out enough, it kind of balances out anyways.
Yeah.
So it's like, for me, like we saw it at this last race. Obviously, it was kind of a lighter turnout because of what's going on right now. But I mean, it was top to bottom in that whole field. I mean, every single one of those drivers, not to be mean, but like they really wouldn't have had any business being in 17.5, and they all know that. And,
and exactly.
There's a great culture surrounding the 21.5 class right now. I mean, it's as far as their skill will take them. I mean, it's also some of the cleanest racing I'm seeing right now.
Yeah, and you know what? It's also some of the friendliest racing. I mean, the guys are up there laughing and having a good time, and that's what it's about, and it's like. And you think about it, if you're like a local club racer dude that you just want to come in and race once a week, it's the perfect class for that.
Yeah.
You don't have to really practice that much. You're just like, it's 21.5, so it's slow enough. You just drive a good line and you're good to go. But I did it a couple times down here just to see what it was like. And I was like, man, I wrecked once in the one main, and I was like, obviously quite a bit faster skill wise. I wrecked once and I was out of it. You just can't catch up. So it teaches you to you got to drive good lines and don't wreck. And that's what we all need to learn in RC. That's why you don't put a 5.5 in.
Exactly. Chris Trudeau asks, who do you like better, Jimmy or Shannon?
Well, since Shannon's not there all the time, no, Jimmy's my guy. I love Shannon to death, but Jimmy has become like one of my closest friends in my life, basically. I got my best friend of 30 years, and then I probably got Jimmy. He's just the type of dude that, like, whenever I'm at the track and I need something done, he's like, what time you want me there? And he'll be there. Or he'll message me like, hey man, you need me to do anything? I'm like, well, I got a vacuum. When I get in there, I'll come in. It's all done.
Jeez. He's
just that type of dude. He's a good family guy. He's just like, he's great with my dog. He's my dog. I've had her about 5 months. Track dog Izzy. He's literally got her trained to where he can put a slice of pizza underneath her nose and she won't even look at it.
Oh, that's awesome.
And he's never hit her or anything, never done anything. He's just like, no. And like she will turn her head away, won't even look at that pizza. Whatever it is. It's the funniest thing. But she just loves him to death. She comes in and it's just like, Jimmy's my dude. That's all I can say. He's just, he's Gramps now. He's like,
yeah, Jimmy's grandson should be starting to race soon.
He is. He actually came in and he let him run around, and that's all he's been talking about. So he's going to start bringing him in.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's cool.
Very cool.
That's super cool.
Yeah.
This is our last question. Omar Ferrer. His first part which was how did you get it started in RC cars, we covered. But what's your favorite class of racing right now? I guess maybe ever. Ever?
Let's see here. Well, I love mod buggy. Like, I used to hate buggy, but now I love it because I think I've got more patience. And for me, mod buggy, and I'm not that great at it, but the challenge of getting that power down to the ground and not overdrive and downside everything, and learning that slow is faster than fast sometimes. I just love mod buggy. I mean, just watching the really good drivers go, you watch them, you're like, they'll hit the downside of a jump faster than you. And there's a 10th. There's another 10th. And you're like, wow, that's like a second, that they're doing better than you. But it gives you, it's kind of like golf for me. You go out and you hit that perfect shot and you go, oh man, if I could just do that on every hit, I'd be awesome. And that's kind of what it is for me. But I have to say, probably the most fun I've ever had RCing was 1 year at Dave's when my son was running and Cameron was running, a couple other guys. We were running 4x4 short course out of Dave's. And then it was the year it was when short course was huge, and we went up to Tri-Cities to that short course nationals or whatever it was.
Oh yeah.
And it was like Aiden was in the G main in 4x4 short course, and they were having 12 people in mains. And it went down to like an I main. It was insane. It was just, and that I think was probably the most fun I had, because I didn't have to do any upkeep in the cars because Cameron loved to do it. And the Associator was 18 screws to get out one diff.
Yeah. The old belt drivers.
and you had to take them out after every race day. They had to be redone. And so Cameron just like, oh, just give them to me. I'll take it with. And he'd take both our cars. I'm like, sweet, I don't have to do it. So, but I would say that's probably the most fun I had was that year. And then just running with Cameron, I really missed that he's moved to Idaho.
Yeah.
Because him and I he was so much better than me, but don't tell him that. But our little races we'd have at the invites between us, where like people would be like, why are you even keeping track of it? I'm like, well, who took second place? Or I don't know. Well, who took 24th? Cameron beat you by 1. I'm like, okay, there we go. That's right. So that's the kind of stuff. I just miss I think owning a track, what I miss the most is hanging out in the pits.
Yeah.
I did one night like that. Somebody else ran it and I just got to hang in the pits, and it was so much fun just hanging out in the pits with the guys. That's the part I miss the most. So by owning a track.
Yeah. Yeah. When are we going to get Cameron back out? I know he's racing in Idaho once in a while, but
yeah, I keep talking to him about it. So who knows? We'll see. I told him, I'll do a race just for you. We'll have the Cameron Kellogg Cup or something, So
one of cereal. One of the first ever full like short course vinyl body wraps we did was for Cameron Kellogg. This must have been early 2012, maybe.
Okay, was he doing Rango?
I don't remember at the time, but it was whenever he had the Hooters theme.
Oh yeah, the Hooters. That's right.
That was one of the first ones we'd ever done for anybody. It was like, I really want a Hooters themed car.
still the best wrap you've ever done.
I wonder if he still has it.
I remember that. That's when he was like 3D printing was kind of just starting, and he'd like, oh look, I had this 3D printed piece done. I'm like, what? What are you doing? It's like, just drive the truck. No, this makes it way better. I'm like, okay. I'm lucky to make sure all my screws are tight. So anyway, I miss hanging with Cameron. He was that's another thing. Perception of people sometimes is really funny because Cameron was always at the track and somebody's like, man, he's an asshole. And I was like, oh, okay. So I just kind of stayed away from him. And then one day at PRCR, we were the only guys there, and I just sat next to him, and I'm like, this dude's a cool dude. He's just a normal, dad. He's got a family, got his head on straight, and he knows his stuff. And we became really good friends after that. So, sometimes I think going and pitting next to somebody that you don't know is a good thing. You know, don't just go pit next to the same people. Go pit next to somebody new, and you might make a new friend.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty crazy. I'm probably one of the worst people I know when it comes to stuff like that. Like, I judge so hard off of first impressions, and almost every time I'm proven wrong. Like, and it comes from exactly that. Like, just sitting at a table next to someone that you don't know that well, and then all of a sudden you're talking all day about nothing.
Yeah,
and that's one of the cool things. Just like, again, from RC, like, all these people that you never would have even come close to meeting in your life, and just the most unlikely scenarios. And here we are, a bunch of nerds huddled in a building somewhere or out in a field, and just having the time of our life. It's pretty awesome to kind of sit back and look at the difference that makes over the years in terms of the people who you know, and how it shapes just you as a person.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's just the way it is. Because like in the photography industry, I probably have made like 2 or 3 friends in 30 years out of it.
Right.
Where RC, I've got people I've known for 30 years, you know? So, you know, and some of them I wish I didn't know. Colin, I mean, did I say that out loud?
Whoa.
Just kidding. You know, Colin. You know I love you, Colin.
Oh, yeah. Next time the phone rings, we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I don't know. I just think overall the RC community is a pretty good group of people, you know. You got your bad apples here and there, but for the most part, I just think it's a really good group of people because you're supposed to be having fun. You know, it's like, I don't know. End of the day, that's why I came with the tagline "Smile, Laugh, Race," because it's like, you know, if you're not doing that, you're not doing it right.
Exactly. You know, and even when things are kind of, you know, bad and crummy and people are in bad moods, it eventually reaches a point where we're back to happy and fun again, and remembering why we're all doing this. And it's always, I guess it's a cycle, you know, it goes through its highs, it goes through its lows. You know, the people who seem to make it negative tend to weed themselves out over time. So the problem generally handles itself.
Yeah, it does. I just, I don't know. Like Colin and I have talked about this. It's like, you know, you get to the racetrack and you're that person, and then you race, and whether you win or lose, when you leave, you're still that same person that came to the racetrack.
Exactly.
It's like no one outside of that racetrack knows that you won or lost.
That's right.
You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So as far as I'm concerned, when I leave there, I'm the best racer on the planet.
Oh yeah, and then we all go home and post about it on Facebook.
Oh yeah. How amazing I am.
Yep.
I won 40 plus with 3 people. I almost beat you, Colin. Wait, did I beat you in the main though?
You might have. I don't remember.
You qualified me, just barely.
No, I think you out-qualified me.
No, weren't you TQ?
Oh, I don't remember.
I think you TQ'd. It's been a long time.
It was one of his first lap
blowouts up there, so I was able to just go to that. That was awesome. So
that was fun. You need to come up more often.
Yeah, I'll try. I want to try. I definitely got to make it up this summer to the outdoor track for sure.
Yes, you do.
You haven't raced there, have you?
Oh yeah, I have. Me and the Strombergs went up on you guys race on Tuesday nights or something.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we just came up on a Tuesday night and then we drove back. We got home at 3 a.m, but
that's awesome.
No, we had a great time though. It was fun. It was under the lights and stuff, and it was really interesting because being indoors, nothing really changes.
Yeah.
And how the tires selection changed throughout the day there was pretty amazing.
It's so cool.
Yeah. That's a great track. That's just that's world class right there.
Yep. Outside of 8 scale nitro.
Yeah.
The turf track at Die Hard is my favorite. Yeah.
Well, we're close, right?
You were right there neck and neck, but the sunsets at Die Hard on Tuesday nights just kind of put it over the edge for me.
Well, I can turn the lights off once in a while.
Dim them, put a dimmer in.
Dim the fluorescence. Well, I wish I had an outdoor track too to do this during the summer, but I don't know. We're working on something. We'll see if we can make it happen. But right now, we actually did really well last summer. The guys supported the track. We were like averaging 35 entries during the summer at our races. Yeah. So that's amazing for indoor in Portland. Yeah,
no, that's great.
So, and I just tell the guys at the beginning of summer, I go, look, if you want a place to race in the winter, at least come once or twice a month in the summer, to keep the doors open. Because everybody likes to race in the winter, but, the rent is still due in the summer.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
and you guys have enough race nights throughout the week that everybody can make it once a week.
Yeah, I think so. So, but I just want to put it out there to the, Portland community. It's like, you guys have been so supportive. I could not do this without the people at that track. It's an amazing group of guys. I really, I don't know. I'm humbled sometimes at how I'll look around there, and like Joe's done that a couple times with me. Like when there's a busy rock star or something, he'll just go like, just look at what you've done here, Yeah. Because you kind of just get busy and stuff, and you don't realize, like, we made this out of nothing. It was a basement of a building, and now it's this thing that's alive. It's just like, it's pretty cool when you look at it from that perspective. Jimmy's really good about saying that. Whenever we're busy, he'll just come at me and go, "Look what you've done, Kevin." It's really funny. He always says that to me. "Look what you've done, Kevin," like I'm being scolded. So
look at all the work you've created for me.
Yeah. So appreciate everything you guys are doing too, though. I mean, this is great.
Well, thank you.
Keeping the community thing going, and just keeping information going out there and letting people know what's going on. It's great.
Yeah. Trying to expand more to your neck of the woods a little bit throughout the year, and I know we kind of get that from the east side of the Northwest too, where we don't talk a lot about all that, because I mean we have awesome things happening right in our backyard here, but it's there's a lot of cool things happening down there, and I felt that it was time that, hey, maybe we need to reach out down there, because there's some cool things happening in Portland, and it's important to not take things like this for granted, because like I said, I wasn't even a resident, but I knew that, well, I mean, I used to be, the RC scene in Oregon for a long time was fairly dire.
Yeah.
I'm from Bend originally.
Okay. Yeah.
And the one track that we had was closed by the county, and there's just, that was it. There wasn't going to be anything else after that. And, actually both tracks down there were closed by the county. And so when Portland kind of took the spill that it did in the mid part of the decade, it was just like, is there a future for it? And it's pretty impressive to see where it's come in such a short time between what you've done and what Casey's done and all the tracks down there. I mean, it seems like it's a thriving scene again, and that's super good to see. So I'm hoping that a lot of you guys have come up to support us.
Right.
Die Hard's success is, I think, especially in the last year and a half, is definitely owes a little bit to you guys down there and your willingness to support what's been going on up here. And I think that hopefully our listener base, kind of in the greater Seattle area that listens to this, hopefully feels motivated to go down and show you guys the same, because it truly is awesome what you guys are doing down there, and I wanted to make sure that everyone could hear that.
Yeah, appreciate that. Yeah, head on down, man. Don't forget RC Plus in Salem, too.
Yeah.
They've been around for 30 years. I know Ron retired finally, but Ron's he's been at the forefront of this industry forever. He's done it as long as I've been racing, and he finally retired. He was the second person I went to see when I opened. And he was kind of funny because he goes, normally people come to me when their track is failing and then they ask what I need to do. You're actually ahead of the ball game here because you asked me what could I do wrong ahead of time. So I just went, anytime, any business, you go to successful people that are doing it and just try and find out what they did to be successful. So yeah, I figured Joe has been to every track on the planet. That's a pretty good place to start. And then going to somebody that's local that's been doing it for a long time. And then Tammy's Hobbies I've been going to Tammy's Hobbies since I was 6 years old. And they have been nothing but supportive. this last summer they sponsored that series, and it was a huge series during the summer. We had, I think, 70 entries in one of the races during the summer. So for us, that's huge, So I just want to throw a shout out to them too, because, they've been here, like I said, my whole life. And
I remember seeing Tammy's Hobbies advertised in the magazines when I was 12.
Yeah.
They put big ads in the magazines. They were one of the big ones.
Just good people. It's like, senior, he's not really around there much anymore, but junior took it over, and we're like the same age. We grew up together, kind of. So it's just anytime I come there, hey, and he's like going, let's do another series, let's just do another one. And then I did a parking lot race in their parking lot, just kind of put up some jumps to try and help them sell some stuff and let people know there's RC racing in Portland. So we just got a great community here, I just think if everybody works together to build the hobby, and not tear each other down, I think it'd be a good thing. There's my dog Izzy in the background. So,
yeah, the whole tearing each other down and tearing things down, that's kind of a trend.
It is
not just there. It's
just
it's an online thing mostly, but
I'll tell you what, I just want every track to succeed, because then it's going to be more racers everywhere.
That's right.
If we all succeed, and help each other succeed, that's what I want. I love when my guys go down to other tracks, because it's going to make them better racers. So, and it's good for them to see how other tracks run and stuff. So anyway, that's my thoughts.
Yeah, like you said, it's for the benefit of everyone. It's for the benefit of the industry. It's not just you. You're looking out. Looking out for yourself. It's you want it to all succeed, because at the end of the day, if it all fails, then you fail anyways.
Right.
So
right.
kind of a lose either way. Then so you might as well put the investment in where it counts.
Work together.
Exactly. It's so important, and you know what? We'll see more of it as time goes on. It's just I think it's just a time thing, and I'm hoping that more people can, after hearing your story tonight, I'm hoping that more people can kind of learn from that and really use that as a catalyst for positive change going forward in terms of just survival of tracks at all.
Yeah.
Because you never know which one's going to go down next. And that's a really unfortunate circumstance, to have to live in. And we all want this to succeed, and it's time that we all start maybe taking pages out of each other's books and realize that, hey, we're all in this together, and it's not, it's not just about my numbers, it's not just about your numbers, it's, how many people want to do this, and can we provide them a facility to do it in?
Well, that really is it, because I've always thought of RC as like, it's not really a sport, but you're up against entertainment dollars. You're against people going to the movies with their kids, or take them to a go-kart track, or whatever it is. You're up against those dollars. And I've always thought, if you look at it as an entertainment thing, and we're also up against gaming. I lost some of the younger kids to gaming. They're like, I'd rather just stay home and run my game. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
I was going to bring that up. That's, how often do you see, parents and families sitting together gaming? Not very often.
Yeah.
In fact, you can go to the RC track as a family and get the same kind of excitement as a family, and you're actually going to learn more out of it.
Well, it's like the Randolph family. I don't know if you know them. They came in, and it's a father and his fiance, I think. I don't think they're married yet, but they have a kid together, and then he has two other kids from his prior marriage. And they come in, and he was paying like for all the entries, it was like $100 a night or whatever it was. And I go, you know what? Let's just come up with a price here for your family, so that you can come in here and it's not going to break the bank. Because I go, I love having you guys here. And they talk about it all the time. They go, if we were at home, we'd be sitting watching TV, not even talking to each other. Here, we're doing things together. And they come in, they come in every week, and I just love seeing them. I let the kids RD, off and on for novice. And it's just like, I just love that family, and I wish I had more families like that in there. We have a couple families that come in, and that's what I love to see, because that's building. I don't know. It's building the community. It's building a family atmosphere. And going back to Tammy's, I remember Senior telling me, he goes, the thing that people don't realize with a track is that with an RC track, you want to have a place that a mom can come in and drop their 10-year-old kid off and leave for a few hours and come back and not worry about them.
Yep.
And that's what people are doing at the track now. And I'm like, hey, that's a success. I have one family that drop their son off. They go out on Friday nights. They go out and they go have dinner and stuff. And they come back 3 hours later and their kid's happy. They're happy. They had a free babysitter. It's a win-win. So he's a good kid too. So
that's so awesome. That's really great to hear. Need more of that. It's always the families.
Yep.
Love seeing the multiple generations come in and enjoy it. I was one of those people, and it's very easy to forget sometimes, and I love seeing it continue to happen.
Well, I think back to my childhood, and I think the reason I was so much into RC was, remember those Cox cars that were on a string? Are you guys old enough to remember that?
Yep.
Nope.
Yeah, my dad had one of those Cox cars. It was like had a propeller on the back of it, and it was like it would take forever to start the darn thing. And
that was an 049.
Yeah, and they'd start up, and you'd have a string nailed in the middle of your driveway, and it would be connected to the car, and you start up, and that thing would just start hauling butt, going in a circle.
Yeah, get out of its way, because it's not stopping.
And my dad would never let me touch it, and so I was always just enthralled with that car,
It was a death machine.
Oh, yeah. So
okay.
That's probably where it happened, so anyway.
So we got to stop the presses here. I just got a text message.
Uh-oh.
Text message from Chris Trudeau.
Oh, God, Momo.
Mr. Momo. Yep. He says, ask Kevin if he still has Ice-T's phone number from the photo shoot.
Yeah, well, no, I never got his phone number. But I did photograph him, and Coco was there.
Yeah, I think I've heard about this story, and I don't think he'd give you his phone number if you asked for it.
No, he didn't really like me too much. There was a racial divide there that I didn't know existed, but he'd let me know that he was none too happy that I was a white photographer. So.
Huh.
Yeah. Yeah, he told me, he goes, you're not a black photographer. I go, well, you're not a white rapper, so I guess that makes us even. So, because I don't know, it was just kind of funny. I was like going, wow, I never even thought about any racial stuff here. I was just like photographing Ice-T. I thought it'd be kind of cool. Yeah,
I know. Why would that cross your mind?
Yeah. Coco loved me. She thought it was funny. He didn't think I was funny at all. Especially while he said something, he was like, I'm from the hood, trying to act tough. And I go, well, I'm from the hood too. I go, Beaverton, Oregon. Yeah, he didn't think that was funny. Coco thought it was funny though. She was laughing. So, once again, see, I guess my jokes are just for the ladies.
Well, there we have our interactive part of the show tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. So, well,
that's funny.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, hey, Kevin, thanks a ton for your time tonight. It's been an absolute blast being able to talk to you.
I appreciate it. You guys, keep doing what you're doing, and stay at it and call and just try and keep that head clean.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I just wanted to say, we touched on it earlier when things were, not like we said, tracks weren't really popular in Portland for a little while. And, there was a lot of Facebook conversations. Like, look, I remember reading through Facebook and seeing some of the things that, were being said between, just racers down there, and seeing the things that, you'd say down there, and all the stuff that, all these conversations that were being had. And I just remember thinking this is never going to work. This is never going to happen. There's just too much animosity. And I remember total disclosure. I remember even reading one of your comments one time being like, dude, this guy's an idiot. And then
well, I think that every day.
That is true.
but no, and seriously, like it takes an absolute amount of courage to do what you did, and like, look, I like I said, I'm guilty of it all the time. You know, like my first impression was probably something at some point, and that was my perception forever. And I saw you open a track, and I was just like, huh, okay. And I started to think about it. I was like, you know what, this is, you know, he put his money where his mouth is. Like, he's going all in. He's going to make this happen, and it's working. And you know what, like, you proved me wrong. You proved a lot of people wrong, and you know what, I think that's so cool because you weren't hindered by the things that were being said or thought of you. You just went out and did it. And it's, you know, I like to think, I sure hope that you feel this way, but from the outside looking in, it seems like it's really paying off in terms of just emotional reward.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's my favorite nights of the week are Wednesdays and Fridays, because I get to just go on the track and race. And it's like, you know, it's like you're just waiting for your buddies to come in, you know, I get in like, awesome. I get to see all my friends twice a week. You know, that's what it is for me. And, you know, and in my defense, some of the stuff that I posted up, especially when I first opened at the track, I was trying to get eyes to view things. And, you know, Colin, I know this, there's certain subjects that if you bring them up, it's going to get a lot of people to talk.
Oh, you still do that today?
Good or bad, it's going to get people to talk. And it's like it gets eyeballs, and then somebody might be like, who is this? Well, I got to go see that. What is this? You know? So, I mean, literally, all you have to do is say anything about stock, changing something in stock. Oh, my God, you're going to have like 100 things. So it's just the way it is. So there's just a couple issues that if you bring them up, oh, boy, you're going to get all sorts of opinions. And sometimes it's like a Monday and I'm bored, and I go, hey, let's put this up, see what happens. So
we mentioned stock a lot on this show.
Oh, I'm sure you do.
And
so what are your views on stock, Colin? Well, here's something I need to get straight to my racers, because they think I hate stock. I've actually had people say, oh, I just know you hate stock. And I do not hate stock at all. Stock, I ran stock forever. You know, that was my favorite class. I just see there's some issues with stock, and I'm trying to figure out a way for people to see the issue with the money thing with the motors. It's out of control, you know, and the motors are getting so fast. So that's my whole thing with stock. I don't hate the race at all. Stock is where it's at. That's the base of any track of stock racers. Yeah. You know, if you don't have your stock racers, you don't have a track, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's a double-edged sword. It's, you know, like I mentioned earlier, we don't have a particular ladder to climb.
Right.
And there's confusion between whether 17.5 is a skill-based or a spec class.
Right.
And there has to be some definition along the way, and there also has to be a proper ladder to move your way up. And the whole industry has kind of lost its way when it comes to that. Where it used to be stock was a stepping stone. Everybody wanted to get to mod.
Yep.
But now 17.5 is stock. It was stock class before with brush motors, 27.5 or whatever it was. And they were a lot slower. Yep. Whereas now 17.5 is not really much slower than mod.
Yeah, I do think that's the issue, because it's like it's fast enough to keep you interested. Where before with the 27 turn motor, you were just like, oh my God, I want to get out of this, win some races and get up to mod.
Yeah. And now they're fast enough that, man, you got people camping out there, you know, they're career 17.5 racers.
Yeah. Well, you know, and back in the day when I wasn't racing a lot, when I'd race like once a week, I would just stick a stock in because there was no way I was going to show up and be competitive in mod. And that part I get, you know, you just stick your 17.5 in, you can show up and you can be competitive.
But you and I are never competitive in mod now.
No, never.
Not really.
Every once in a while, I'll like I'll pop up and have a good race, but no. It's like, Dude, I'm going to be 57 next month. I'm on the decline big time.
Yeah. Yeah, but there's still no way I'm going back to stock.
Yeah. Well, you say that now, but you never know.
No, I'm pretty sure I'm not going back to stock.
Well, see, I like the Ron, when he used to own RC Plus, he had a really good idea, I thought. It's like you have 40 plus and you get a second off for every year you're over 40. Your final race time. Yeah. So like me, I get 17 seconds off. I still would be behind everybody, but as you get older, you get an extra second.
I like it.
I do too. I thought that was a good idea.
Well, now the holiday hangover this weekend out in Moses Lake is 35 and over.
Oh no, that's just wrong. 35-year-old, they still got their reflexes and stuff, man. 40, that stuff starts to go downhill.
Oh yeah, they got 10 years on me, man. I'm 45 now. 46 soon.
Dude, they got 22 years on me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm waiting for 55 plus. That's what I'm waiting for. I'm fine with one person in a class. I'll be able to do lots of race reports.
I like the skill-based ladder. That's where I stand on the whole situation. I like the skill-based ladder. Having a spec class is fine. People like tinkering, all that kind of stuff. But it's not good for the hobby to have classes where there's pro-sponsored drivers running 17.5 and even 21.5, I guess, in some situations. But as far as the whole ladder is concerned, it's hurting the hobby.
So how do you, skill-based, are you thinking like Europe where you just show up and it's buggy and then you qualify into your main?
Well, that would be the ideal situation, but that will never happen here.
Yeah.
One class, one buggy, one two-wheel drive class, one four-wheel drive class, run as much motor as you can handle.
Well, every year I normally do it in the fall. I do the Portland Open, and that's what we do.
Yeah.
It's just like you show up and you qualify, and that's where you're at.
Yeah. Can you imagine having, your regular club races with 65 entries in the class you're racing?
That would be cool.
How cool would that be?
Yeah.
Yeah. I finished 10th out of 65 instead of I finished 5th out of 10.
Right. Yeah.
Or 8 or whatever one heat is,
I just think we need to rename the mains, though. Instead of A, B, C, D, be like the cool main, the super cool main, the awesome main. It's all the naming of it.
I think we should rename the classes, honestly. We should have novice, sportsman, maybe intermediate, and then pro or expert.
Yeah.
And I think the name change would solve some of it. There'd be some egos hurt, but that would solve a lot, I think, just by changing the name.
Well, that's something to ponder next fall. Who knows?
Having one track go off and do their own thing like that it could hurt you more than help you.
Well, you know what? When I did the 21.5 thing, no one was doing it here. And I remember when I implemented it was last summer, said I was going to do it, and people thought it was nuts.
Right.
And I was just like, no, this is what needs to be done to make this hobby better. It was just too big of a jump to go from novice to 17.5. It's impossible.
Well, yeah. 17.5 is the most cutthroat, most expensive, most yelling class.
Yeah.
There is. So to come out of novice and go into that, no wonder we didn't grow. No wonder we were losing racers left and right.
Well, I've kind of analyzed that whole why people do that in stock, and I may be wrong, but this is kind of what I think is that, in mod, like you and I, like we know our skill set.
Yeah.
When we get up on there with like Debrino and Tanner and Harley and Joe and those guys, we know where we stand.
Yeah.
We might get lucky.
We're lucky to stand there with them.
Yeah. So it's like, and we're okay with that. Where I think stock drivers, because I don't think most of them don't have the experience, everybody on that driver's stand thinks that they're the best driver in that class.
Well, a lot of them have the sponsorships to show or to make them feel like they are quite important.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's my feeling is that, if they don't have the perspective to go, yeah, I'm really not that good at this, or I'm a middle of the road dude,
Yeah.
Where I look at myself, I'm like, I'm middle to the bottom of the road guy. I'm not, sometimes I'm in the middle, but like I can pretty much look at a big race and go, I know where I'm going to finish in this,
Yep.
Unless I have like the most awesome race I'll ever have. That's kind of where, and I end up in about that area, and that's okay,
I look at myself as about average.
Yeah, and see, I look at myself
in
as
the whole
slightly
scheme of
below
things.
average. So,
You have all the different classes, and then, if you win whatever class, then suddenly that, it kind of gets in your head sometimes, and it's not everyone, I guess, has that filter to be able to differentiate, how important it really is, I guess.
yeah.
But if that class was called sportsman or that class was called intermediate, would it really go to your head as much?
Oh, I think so. A win is a win.
Yeah, I guess there's that side of it too.
See, for me, it's like me and Jimmy and Brian, whenever there's a series, we always put money down and some sort of public humiliation down as the winner between the three of us. Which, by the way, Jimmy and Brian still have to stand up in front of everybody and bow and say I'm a better driver than they are because I finished higher in 40 plus in Rockstar. So for me, that's what it's about for me. I don't care about if I podium or not. It's just like if I have like those two guys to race against, I finished ahead of them. That's all that matters to me. That's my whole racing right there. So pick your battle. You might be able to win.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yep. I take the 40 and over class a little more seriously than I do the two-wheel mod or whatever, or the open classes when I'm running nitro, and it's more of a practice session for me than it is actually racing. 40 plus though, I like to be competitive in 40 plus.
Yeah.
Because that's my skill set. I don't have the skill level to compete with the top guys in the open classes. So,
well, I remember when I used to be able to keep up with you, and now I can't even stay on the same lap with you. So you've definitely gotten a lot better.
Well, I was going to say the same about you because when you came up to Die Hard, man, I couldn't shake you. You were right there.
That was just, I had one of those lucky days, man.
So humble.
No, seriously, I went up there. I'm just going to race 40 plus, and I don't know who decided to do it. But when I got up on the driver's stand for the first one, then they announced that I was in mod 2, and I was like, "Wait, what?" I had brought up one set of tires with me, some shagged other ones. So yeah. So anyway, that was fun though. That was a good time. Long day, that was a great time.
2 classes on a long day like that is perfect.
Yeah.
Especially if it's the same car.
Well, yeah, if I would have had, next time I'll plan ahead, I'll bring more tires.
There you go.
Anyway. Well, is that about it?
I'm fresh out of stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a great talk. I really appreciate it, Kevin.
Yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Let me know when you wanted to do it again, if you want to. I don't know if I'm excited enough or not, but I talk to Colin anyway, so.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident in saying there will probably be a second time.
Cool.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
Colin's like, no way, man.
Well,
I might burst some bubbles because there's a lot of people that think I'm a jerk, and maybe I am. I don't know. I try to be chill. Somebody actually said that the other day to me. They go, wow, everybody told me you were kind of a jerk, and you're like a really nice guy. I'm like, well, that's good because normally it's the other way around. Like, they said you're a nice guy, but you're really a jerk.
Well, you know what? We all need to spend more time getting to know each other as people and less as online entities.
Yep.
This was like just this talk alone was a great lesson for me, and I hope it can be for a lot of people.
Yeah. Yep. I do wish that, and I'm as guilty of as anybody, but it's like before Facebook and social media, you didn't know anything about how the other person's politics.
That's right.
You didn't know anything. And now it's just, everything. So if I didn't have the track, I would get rid of my Facebook.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you guys know? Can you just have a business page without a personal one?
Yeah.
Can you?
I don't think you can.
Sure you
I need to look into it because I would love to do that.
Me too.
I'm so over it.
Now I kind of just use Facebook. Every once in a while I post something today, but for the most part, I just post up my memories now. It's fun to see, like, racers or things with my kids or whatever. So, yeah. Because I'm sure you're going to solve everything on Facebook.
Oh, yeah. You're changing so many minds on Facebook.
Yep, exactly. So the unfollow button is strong with me. You still keep them as friend, but you just don't follow them, so you don't see the stuff, and then life is good again.
There you
go.
Try that one, Travis.
That's what I've been doing. Anything political, regardless if I agree with it or not, has been it's just not worth it.
Yeah,
I need to start doing that.
Yeah, just unfollow. It's like it definitely makes your life, and then you don't worry about you don't get pissed off with your friends.
Right.
You just see them post up something, you just go, I'm going to unfollow them. So.
I'm pretty good at ignoring it. I don't get involved in the politics online.
Yeah.
Well,
okay, guys. Well, you keep your heads down up there. We're on to get through this stuff. Just came through that they're closing the schools down here in Lake Oswego.
Uh-oh.
Oh wow. Okay.
There hasn't been anything at any of the schools, but they're just going to close now, I think, because we have spring break in a week. So they figure if they close now and then they have a week off for spring break and close another week, that'll be 21 days and everything will be cleared out by then.
That's actually pretty smart.
Yeah. So.
Yep.
So now we have the kids running around everywhere. That'll be great.
Yeah, your kids are old enough though that.
Aiden's out on his own now. I don't see him much anymore. So. My daughters are teenagers, so anyway. Well, guys, have a great night. Thanks for including me in this. It was awesome.
Yeah, of course. Yep. Yeah, thank you for making the time to come on. It was awesome. It really was.
Keep doing what you're doing, and we'll all see you at the track sometime.
Hell yeah. And we got to come down there soon, very soon.
Yeah, and I got to come up there, too. But I don't do 8 scale, so.
You will. Come on up. I got a car for you.
Everybody says that. Maybe outside of work. I went to that the one that was up in, where was it, Battleground or where it was? The big race up here, the winter.
On road.
No, not on road. The
Fallout.
Fallout, yeah. And man, I was just in there for about an hour and I was sick. I had a headache from the night.
Yeah, you only spend enough time in there to run your run and then you get out.
Yeah. So, but outdoor that would be kind of fun. If nothing else, I got some stuff I want to do this summer that I don't think you guys have met Cole Hager yet. He's a local at a track. He's been racing for about 8 months, and all of a sudden he's just like his first novice race. I'm like, have you done this? He's like, no. But then I found out his dad told me he's a national champion go-kart racer.
I knew I recognized that name.
Yeah, and he's just putting it together in RC now too. I mean, he's just like, and so I want to go see some of his races too. It's fun to watch. He's such a humble kid. Like 2 weeks ago he had a race, and I'm like, hey man, how'd you do? And he's put his head down. He's like, yeah, I won. And I'm like, what are you head down? He's just a good kid. So I want to go see him race.
That's awesome.
So I want to do that. I want to see some 8 scale stuff, and I'm excited about Casey's track down here. The 8 scale thing. That's really needed here. That's needed in this community. There's enough guys that so that's awesome. Another way to grow the hobby.
Yeah. Hey, just do what you can, and it's good to see people step up and try and fill the void. It's awesome. I hope it stays that way for a while there.
Yeah. So anyway, well, you guys have a great night. I'm gonna go, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. Have some ice cream, maybe.
Ooh.
I like it. Dinner time for me.
Yeah.
No, thank you, Kevin.
Okay, guys.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay, take care.
We'll talk to you later.
Okay, bye-bye.
See you. All right. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening to this week's episode of the Trackwalk RC podcast. I really appreciate everything that you guys do for us week in and week out and showing your support and listenership. This episode's going to put us over 10,000 listens, and as promised, there will be a giveaway once that happens, so stay tuned to the Trackwalk RC Facebook page. And as a reminder, if you want to go the extra mile and support us on Patreon, you can do that following the link in the description along with merch. So thank you guys for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Get to know that person pitting across from you.